Chapter 1691. At that moment, Su Yen received the information from the Tensor. He pondered for a moment and frowned. Could it be that the first paragon of the Xian people had obtained the Sun Mother scripture in the Golden Waters? If he really had two unparalleled scriptures, he would be a terrifying enemy with unimaginable strength. However, the more it was so, the more intense Su Yan's battle blood became. Why should he be afraid of a battle? Su Yan, is he a golden immortal too? Zhang Liang's mind was shaken. He was able to capture Su Yan's terrifying conviction. He was entrenched on the Emperor Road battle platform, and his divine might was vast. It could be said that it covered the sky and covered the entire first path of space and time. At the first space-time road, many cultivators were also cultivating in seclusion, trying to understand the Daluo's profound meaning. At this moment, they stared at the terrifying figure on the battle platform and were shocked from the bottom of their hearts. What a strong battle intent! It was almost uncontrollable. This was definitely a battle intent against the first paragon of the Xian people. Su Yan was not afraid of a battle. The number one supreme being of the immortal race had snatched away his black fog. Su Yan really wanted to have a fight with the number one supreme being of the immortal race. He wanted to personally take back what belonged to him. He was already prepared for the struggle for supremacy in the ultimate land. I'm really looking forward to it. Su Yan closed his eyes. He was also a golden immortal. After watching the battle between the first paragon of the Xian people and the East Demon, Su Yan had a deeper understanding of this realm. In addition to his recent cultivation, he felt that the more profound his understanding of the Daluo's profound meaning was, the easier it would be for him to reach the golden immortal realm. This realm was not something that could be reached at any time. Speaking of which, he had to thank the heart blood of the Lord of the Underworld. It stimulated Su Yan's 9th level true immortal realm in a short time. After the Emperor Road's top 100 fortunes ended, Su Yan could also reach the great circle of the true immortal realm. The grand heavenly realm was already infinitely close to Su Yan, and the era of becoming an expert was about to arrive. Tensor found a place to recuperate. His injuries were quite serious, and he no longer had the chance to participate in the top 100 competition. He could only sigh in his heart. Brothers, do your best. Although you killed me with Fairy Violet Glow here, you'll have at least 6 or 7 spots in the top 100. Truth be told, even Yen Emperor himself was unsure if Su Yan was a gold immortal. When Su Yan devoured the essence of the reincarnation pill, Yen Emperor felt that Su Yan was a legendary golden immortal. Perhaps he had already reached that level. In any case, the number one supreme being of the Xian people was a golden immortal, which gave them a lot of pressure. Even though Su Yan was also a golden immortal, once they met, it would be a life-and-death battle. It was extremely dangerous and cruel. Haha, another king of the Celestial Court has stopped, someone laughed. The kings of the Celestial Court were stopped one after another. Tensor was severely injured and could no longer participate. East Demon had also withdrawn from the Emperor Road. In other words, the 3 Sky Prides had stopped in the top 100 of the Emperor rankings. Dali was defeated. He was stopped by a strong opponent and ended the battle gloomily. He did not care about the top 100 of the Emperor rankings. What he really cared about was being able to fight alongside his big brother. The day was coming to an end, only 3 arenas were left with endless battles. The remaining spots had yet to be decided, and they could only rely on the Emperor rankings to decide. What a joke! Could it be that the Celestial Court only managed to obtain 2 spots in the top 100 competition? If that's the case, there's no need for the top 10 competition to continue. The Celestial Court's wish to return to the 9 Cauldron Prefectures has become a pipe dream. Someone sneered and was immediately reprimanded by the elders of his family. Across the world, some immortal sects did not even manage to obtain a spot in the top 10,000. Now that the Celestial Court managed to obtain 2 spots in the top 100, they had already surpassed the prestige of the immortal sections. This sentence was like a slap in the face. A group of experts from various family clans blushed. Let alone 2 spots, even if it was just 1 spot, given the difficulties that the Celestial Court faced, it would still be considered impressive. Look, the 100th Spacetime Road has been obtained by Yen K from the Flame Emperor organization. The entire world was in an uproar. The Emperor rankings had to choose the top 3 spots, but no one had expected Yen K to emerge victorious. This meant that the Celestial Court had obtained 3 spots. Damn it, could the Emperor Road be biased towards the Celestial Court? The group of losers were indignant. Some people were shaking their heads. There was no doubt about Yen K's strength. Even after being obstructed, she was still able to persevere until now. This was enough to prove that she was outstanding. If the Emperor rankings were biased towards the Celestial Court, no one in the world would be able to obtain a single spot. I never thought that the Celestial Court would be able to obtain 3 spots in the top 100. This is too surprising. The outside world was also in a heated discussion. The experts from the Underworld faction sneered. If we don't give them 3 spots, would they have the guts to go to the Ultimate Land? However, they would only be courting death if they went. The Celestial Court is no longer the Celestial Court of the past. Everyone admits that the Celestial Court of the past was terrifying. However, times are changing. Those who can't keep up with the times are destined to be beaten. Only the Xian people did not look happy. Xian Tianrong, on the other hand, did not seem to care. Don't worry. Our tribe's first honorable is a legendary golden immortal. Both our tribe and the Celestial Court have obtained 3 spots. However, in terms of strength, our tribe will naturally surpass the Celestial Court. Xian Tianrong's words made Xian Tairan nod as well. Forefather, you're right. If the Celestial Court is still ranked first, the Celestial Court's reputation will be tarnished. Isn't this manipulating things behind the scenes? The world knows that the first honorable is a golden immortal. Everyone has a scale in their hearts. I don't believe that they would dare to influence the Emperor rankings. The rankings are about to be released. The next morning, the top 100 arenas were completely sealed. The top 100 were bathed in a rain of light from the Great Tao. At the same time, the top 100 arenas rumbled violently. The deafening sounds echoed throughout the entire Emperor Road. It was a brilliant day, a glorious day. The entire world was in an uproar. Over 100 experts appeared in the sky and filled the entire arena. They were majestic and exuded an endless aura of experts. Terrifying blood essence light flowed from their bodies. It seemed like they were all about to step into the grand heavenly realm. The top 100. The losers looked at the hundreds of figures who were engulfing the starry sky. Seeing their glorious day, they did not feel much jealousy. Everyone knew that the top 100 had sacrificed a lot. Most of the experts who obtained the spots had yet to fully recover from their injuries. Look, there's a dragon. Someone was astonished when they realized that there was a well-hidden man in green robes. Under the stimulation of the monarch ranking, a dragon's roar shook the heavens as a powerful dragon's aura was released. The entire battlefield was covered in darkness, causing everyone to feel terrified. A dragon appeared in the middle of the arena. It exuded a true dragon's aura that shook the starry sky. This was a dragon, and it caused a huge commotion. Ha ha ha! The Azure Dragon laughed. This was its descendant, the successor of its bloodline. It had been hiding for many years because it hoped that the Emperor Road would open again. It hoped that the Celestial Court would have a terrifying war god who could represent the Celestial Court in the battle. From the looks of it, the leader of the Celestial Court was the Devil King Su Yen. With a powerful right-hand man like the Azure Dragon, the pressure on Su Yen and the others in the final battle would be reduced significantly. At the same time, the Emperor Road shone with millions of auspicious lights. A huge golden ranking board descended on the various arenas. The day of release had arrived. Do we have to write down our names again? Some people were surprised that the Emperor rankings did not release the results directly. We can write down our clan name. After all, it's a glorious moment. The top 100 is already very impressive. Some old monsters laughed. Their proud disciple had taken away a spot. However, they also said regretfully, "What a pity. There are too few young kings in our clan. If there were a few of us who could make it to the top 100, our clan name would also appear on the Emperor rankings." The top 100 Sky Prides were eye-catching. No one would have thought that it was related to the clan name. If a clan obtained a lot of spots, the Emperor rankings would show their clan name. Su Yen of the Celestial Court. Su Yan's expression was solemn. Without thinking, he wrote down the 4 words solemnly. After all, he was at the first path of time and space. If he wrote the new Emperor rankings, the Celestial Court Su Yan's name would appear on the Emperor rankings first. His name would shock the entire undying heavenly region. At the same time, Su Yen realized that there was a certain connection between him and the Emperor rankings. He also had a special feeling. Soon, he realized that the boundless immortal Tao light from the Emperor rankings had engulfed his body. What a great fortune! Su Yen was moved. This was a baptism that began on the day of release. It was not only because of the special environment of the Emperor Road, but also because of the Emperor rankings. The boundless light of the great Tao contained the Tao of Genesis. Su Yen was surprised and happy. The Emperor rankings was all-encompassing and could be used as a baptism of fortune for any expert. His beginning scripture was broad and profound, but the Emperor rankings could still reflect Su Yen, enveloping Su Yen with the order of the great Tao. At this moment, Su Yen seemed to have entered the great Tao heavenly embryo, absorbing the nutrients of the immortal Tao to strengthen himself. 1. His body emitted the light of the great Tao, and the beginning scripture, which had already formed the order of the scripture, also began to revolve, intertwining with the scene of the creation of heaven and earth. It was also beginning to show the infinite level. This was the Daluo road. It was too direct and violent. One had to admit that the benefits of being in the top 100 of the Emperor rankings were too great. It was completely different from being in the top 10,000. Su Yen of the Celestial Court. The Xian people had ugly expressions. The glory of being the number 1 supreme was snatched away by Su Yen just like that. They were unwilling to accept it. The monarch ranking continued to emit blinding rays as the names of the clans appeared one after another, illuminating the monarch road. Every name and clan name would appear from the monarch road and soar into the sky, engraving themselves on the golden monarch ranking. Bamboo Moon of the Celestial Court. Seeing Su Yan's title, Bamboo Moon did not hesitate and engraved 4 words. Yuan of the Celestial Court. Tai Baokai of the Celestial Court. Miser of the Celestial Court. Zi Xia of the Celestial Court. Isi Yun of the Celestial Court. Long Daesong of the Celestial Court. Yen K of the Celestial Court. West Fo of the Celestial Court. Little Azure Dragon of the Celestial Court. 11 names of the Celestial Court appeared one after another, emitting a terrifying brilliance. When the top 10,000 names were fully displayed, the Emperor rankings became even more dazzling. They were branded at the peak of the Emperor Road and spread across the entire spacetime. Every name represented a figure, representing the top 100 of this generation of the Emperor rankings. Boom! The Emperor rankings resonated with the great Tao heavenly melody. A new ranking appeared above the top 100. It was the clan name ranking. The Celestial Court was ranked number 1. 11 young kings had dominated the Emperor rankings. It was an unparalleled glory for this clan. Compared to them, the Xian people's 3 names seemed a little weak. Chapter 1692. I say, little fire phoenix, are my eyes playing tricks on me? The azure dragon wiped its huge dragon eyes, and felt that its vision was blurry as if it was covered by tears. At the same time, it could not calm down and called out to the Flame Emperor, hoping to get her confirmation. The Yen Emperor was stunned, he couldn't say a word. He pointed at the Heavenly Court's clan name on the monarch ranking board. At first she thought that there were at most 4 or 5 of them. However, this result was very shocking and a little ridiculous. 11 clan names, where did they come from? Fairy Xia, Iron Rooster, Long Day Song, Yun, and West Buddha. These 5 were unfamiliar to them. They never knew them before. Fairy Xia was needless to say. Whose disciple was she? She was the successor of the mysterious skeleton. Even Fan Jian admitted that he was not as good as her. He even begged to be the disciple of the skeleton. There was no doubt about Fairy Xia's strength. Iron Rooster's body was nourished by the Tier 8 immortal body fluid. He had really turned from a chicken into a phoenix. A silver true phoenix sat on the Emperor Road's arena, emitting a terrifying light. One could vaguely feel the aura of a true phoenix. It was very powerful and intimidating. Who would have thought that the Celestial Court had true phoenixes and true dragons? One should know that during the Celestial Court's heyday, there were 4 guardian beasts, which were the 4 Daozu. Who was Yun? Su Bingshuang smiled but did not say anything. Inisi and Su Yan's relationship was too deep. Before Earth entered the era of the Divine Devil civilization, their relationship was already extremely close. Speaking of which, the Flame Emperor and the others were dumbfounded. This snow-white beauty was like a supreme saintess who walked out of the Frost Kingdom. Her skin was ice and her bones were jade. She was like a fairy from beyond the heavens. The experts around the arena were also stunned. They could not believe that this snow-white beauty was the ruler of the Celestial Court. She had the Taiyin Mother Scripture and was extremely powerful. There was a bald monk from West Buddha. He looked calm and peaceful, but in reality, his battle prowess was not to be underestimated. He had cultivated the Buddhist sect's Zhang 6 golden body. This was a supreme precious body, and the people of the world thought that he was a secret disciple of the Buddhist sect. However, no one would have thought that West Buddha was the ruler of the Celestial Court. If our ancestors knew about this, they would be smiling in the underworld. The Flame Emperor was a little sad, but his face was filled with pride. Who said that the Heavenly Court couldn't make it? Who said that the Heavenly Court was falling apart? Who said that the Heavenly Court didn't have a king of the younger generation? Ha ha ha! The Azure Dragon laughed loudly. His dragon might shook the heavens as if he had gone mad. This combination of punches caused the world to tremble violently, boiling and howling. Heavens, what the hell is going on? 11 slots? Countless people roared. It was earth-shattering and earth-shattering. The entire Emperor Road seemed to be trembling. Their shouts shook the heavens and earth. This was an extremely unbelievable scene. The Heavenly Court had obtained 11 spots in the top 100. Who could tell them what was going on? How is this possible? The people of the underworld were shouting in disbelief. How could something so ridiculous happen? How could this happen? The Xian people's Xian Tyran was about to explode. His eyes were red. He saw some familiar faces among the 11. They were the 10 Immortal Realm experts who worked together to trick the enemy back then. Who would have thought that the weak 10 Immortal Realm experts of the past would stand out and stand on the top 100 of the Emperor rankings? If the Xian people were not the number 1 supreme being, East Demon and Tensor would have killed their way out. It would be an extremely terrifying event. It would not be any weaker than the Celestial Court's heyday. It would be like 100 flowers blooming. The Tao ancestors of the various major powers all had gloomy expressions on their faces. It was truly a shocking sight. The Heavenly Courts had obtained 11 spots in the top 100, and they also felt their faces burning. They had even paid too much attention to Su Yan and Fairy Xia. They felt that these two were too special. Among the 11 young kings, who was the most terrifying? It was not Su Yen or Fairy Zixia. It was Long Daesong. Once its 9 transformations battle prowess erupted and activated its 9-layered Dao fruit, it would become a heaven-defying existence. Who could contend against it? The world shall bear witness to our race. All of a sudden, the Emperor Road surged with a terrifying aura and a grand layout. Boom! The 11 young kings stood in the arena. Their figures were faintly discernible. Some were terrifying, some were shocking, and some were shocking. They looked at each other from afar, forming an unforgettable scene. With the light of these young kings, how could the race not rise in the future? Ha ha! Ha! They were laughing loudly like gods of war breaking through the darkness. This battle was not only for themselves, but also for the race, for the lost glory, for dignity, and for shame. I'm proud of you. Su Yen, you must come back alive. When we return to the black-yellow universe in the future, we will drink and eat, Emperor Nan murmured, looking at the figures of Su Yen and the others. Although he couldn't become one of them, and although he couldn't fight side by side with them, when he recalled the series of major events in the Bound of Universe, his blood boiled. I can't fall behind. I hope the Emperor Road's top 100 battlefield can help me become a Grand Heavenly. Emperor Nan calmed down and worked hard to understand the Grand Heavenly profound. The old leader sighed and looked at Isi Yun and the others. These little ones used to need their protection. But now, he had become an independent expert who could bring supreme glory to the tribe. Unconsciously, the old leader felt that his eyes were a little blurry. He sighed and said, "The little guys have all grown up. I have to work hard and step into the Tao ancestor realm as soon as possible. Otherwise, I will waste the good fortune left by my ancestors. In the future, I still want to continue to protect this group of little guys. I can't be surpassed by them as soon as possible. Otherwise, wouldn't I lose face?" The old leader smiled happily like a child. The world was shocked, and the immortal celestial domain was stirred up. All sects were in an uproar. All of the old monsters in the world were shocked. Today's imperial court was just too glorious and brilliant. 11 slots. The Xian people's first supreme said coldly, "When the ultimate land opens, I'll let you know that a race, a universe, and a prosperous era only needs one young supreme." The legendary golden immortals were invincible. Even if they were tainted by something related to golden immortals, it was enough to be glorious, not to mention a real golden immortal. He stood on the arena and radiated a terrifying light that swept across the entire battlefield. The Xian people's first supreme became the focus. His shadow was so bright that it almost overshadowed the top 100 list and became the #1 god of war in history. Everyone trembled, not daring to look directly at his figure. Some people even had the urge to prostrate themselves in worship. They vaguely caught a glimpse of a supreme golden immortal's might. This was a terrifying gap, suppressing them to the point where they found it difficult to breathe. From this moment on, Fairy Zixia, Yuan, Tai Baokai Yen Ke, they stared at the Xian people's first supreme with cold eyes. Although they felt the great pressure, their fighting spirit was still burning. "Ants, I'll take your heads in the ultimate land," the Xian people's first supreme said coldly. People could see the contempt, disdain, and coldness in his eyes. Many people didn't dare to breathe loudly. The legendary golden immortal had spoken. If the Xian people's first supreme was in the past, they would have thought it was ridiculous. But now, he stood in the legendary realm and had an invincible power. Do you really think you're invincible? Is the legendary golden immortal that great? Don't brag too much, Su Yen replied. He stood on the Emperor Road's arena. Although he didn't show his strength, no one dared to ignore him. He dared to suppress Daozu's son and stew him. Even the Netherworld's seed devil couldn't kill him. The young Devil King was also rather dreamy. Although he was a little weak and frail compared to the legendary golden immortal, no one would ignore him. He Ah! The Sien people's first supreme laugh. His voice shook the mountains and rivers. Then, the supreme golden immortal aura spread and swept across the battlefield. It was enough to shake the four seas. His power was self-evident. When the time comes, you'll be the first to be eliminated. He stared coldly at Su Yen and fell silent. It was useless to say anything now. The ultimate battle would let the celestial court know who was the true supreme of the Emperor Road, the only supreme expert. Many descendants of ancient orthodoxies had strange looks in their eyes. They really hoped that they would fight to the death. It would be best if both of them died. Otherwise, the legendary Golden Immortals would be pressuring them. But how could the young Devil King defeat a Golden Immortal? This realm was too dreamy. I'll wait and see. Su Yen snorted. Was this a fated battle? Devil King, you're too arrogant. What do you think the legendary Golden Immortals are? Trash that can be killed at will? A king of the Sien people was angry. He shouted, "You won't get any of the 3 spots in the celestial court in the ultimate battle. Stop dreaming. Son of AB*TCH, how dare you talk to your ancestor like that?" Baokai was furious. His body shook violently and turned into the majestic figure of the Sien people's ancestor. He looked at the Sien people's king and shouted, "Kneel down and pay your respects. I'll let you die with dignity later." The Sien people's king was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. He glared at Tai Baokai and growled, "You be **starred, how dare you insult our ancestor? You really don't know your place. Heaven and earth will bow before me, the beast god." Baokai grinned and said disdainfully, "Useless thing, don't fart in front of the great ancestor. Be careful, I'll break your fangs and break your bones." The onlookers did not know what to say. This was definitely the shape-shifting technique. It could transform into any substance at will. It could even simulate the majesty of a powerful expert. One could imagine how amazing this secret technique was. "Let's wait and see." The 2 kings of the Sien people roared. This day was too humiliating for their race. Their eyes were red, and they would not be appeased until they crippled the celestial court's kings. Fairy Zixia and the others returned to silence after their awakening. They could feel the killing intent from all directions. Too many people wanted to get rid of them and suppress the celestial court. This involved many ancient orthodoxies. Daozu also had a large number of children. In short, for the Flame Sparrow and the others, this was the ultimate battle. They could only win and not lose. They did not care about regaining control of the 9 tripod states, but this was related to the dignity of the celestial court. The outside world could not calm down. The undying celestial domain was a little dim with only 11 spots left. Was a dead race about to return? Time flew by slowly. The time for the top 100 was 1 year. This year passed quickly, but it was also slow. Time passed quietly, and the year was about to come to an end. The competition for the strongest was about to begin. Chapter 1693. A year's time passed by in a flash. The old experts, who were observing from the Emperor Road's entrances in the other continents, were getting impatient. However, to the experts in the Emperor Road's arenas, a year had passed by too quickly. They wished they could stay in the Emperor rankings for 10 years, or even 100 years. The younger generation has broken through and entered the grand heavenly realm. In the future, the immortal sex orthodoxies will be dominated by the younger generation. In the outside world, many grand heavenly experts of the older generation were sighing. The 100 spacetime paths had gathered millions of true immortal experts. Although they did not enter the arenas, they were able to stand firm on the battlefield and protect their own cultivation grounds. This was enough to prove that they were extraordinary. A year had passed. Among the millions of true immortal experts, there were at least 10,000 who had entered the grand heavenly realm. Once they entered this realm, they could be considered as the universe's experts. They would be able to dominate a region and have a certain hope of becoming a paragon in the future. One after another, the grand heavenly experts were transported out of the Emperor Road. As they looked at the Emperor Road's arenas, they had mixed feelings. Although they had lost the qualification to participate in the ultimate contest and were not fated to witness the Emperor Road's ultimate prosperity, they had already achieved great things. If they were placed in some barren continents, they would be able to establish their own sects and become the rulers of the continent. They would live a prosperous life in the future. It's not easy. They were filled with emotions. There were more than 100 million cultivators who entered the Emperor Road, but how many of them had entered the grand heavenly realm? Over 10,000 golden immortal realm experts sounded shocking, yet the elimination rate was truly shocking. However, among the millions of true immortals in the future, there would definitely be a batch of them who would enter the grand heavenly realm. This indirectly showed the importance of the Emperor Road. It had provided fresh blood for the cultivation world for generations. Perhaps, after a long time, there would be a Daozu. Buzz! Su Yan's body constantly emitted the pressure of the Great Path. It was accompanied by a dull rumble that shook everyone's hearts. It caused the entire Emperor Road's arenas to become unstable. It was as if an immortal path war god was comprehending the Great Path. He sat cross-legged on the arena with a solemn expression. During this 1 year, Su Yan did not awaken. He was completely immersed in his exploration of the immortal Tao. Under the illumination of the monarch ranking, countless immortal runes pierced through his body, filled with the profoundness of the great Luo. It was as if the myriad Tao scripture was being recited in his inner world, about to give birth to a true god of the immortal Tao, containing boundless might. A year was about to come to an end. During this process, Su Yan was immersed in it. He observed the Tao of the world, reflected what he had learned, and further deduced the profound meaning of the beginning sutra. The body was like the universe, the origin of all things. The universe in Su Yan's body continued to expand and strengthen. It had to be said that this had something to do with the strength of Su Yan's body. The stronger the flesh shell, the more profound the Tao techniques and profound mysteries it contained. Now, his flesh concealed 10,000 layers of immortal Tao, outlining an enormous eye of primal chaos, suffused with the scene of opening the heavens. At the instant the myriad Taos rumbled, Su Yan's body blazed, and he had the posture of penetrating into the golden immortal realm. Similarly, Su Yan felt that his strength was insufficient. Why was that? Su Yan's accumulation in the true immortal realm was too shocking. Even if he opened the path of breakthrough now, his own accumulation couldn't satisfy the energy needed by Su Yan. It was a super-evolution from the true immortal realm to the golden immortal realm. In fact, with Su Yan's current strength, he didn't need the supreme paradise to nourish himself. He had experienced too much in the true immortal realm, and his experience was enough. All of a sudden, Su Yan's aura changed, and he seemed to be supreme. His body's quality soared by a large margin, and it looked quite terrifying. It was shocking and frightening. What was this? This was a golden immortal. Under the extreme sublimation of his combat strength, Su Yan's strength reached the heavens and earth. The terrifying strength of his body, accompanied by the vast power of the beginning sutra, was simply like a golden immortal god tearing apart the heavens, peerlessly powerful. Golden immortal. Su Yan murmured, waiting for the day when he broke through. His body's quality soared, and his nomological energy evolved, and he would step into the golden immortal realm. In fact, the legendary golden immortal was very powerful. Even if Su Yan stepped into the golden immortal realm, he wouldn't be much stronger than a golden immortal. Unless Su Yan rushed into the golden immortal realm in one go. Unknowingly, the universe in Su Yan's body decreased greatly, as if he had lost some kind of ability. From this moment onwards, Su Yan's body recovered. His limbs and bones flowed with vigorous immortal Tao divine power, and it contained endless divine might of the great Tao. At the same time, it was accompanied by the vast chanting of sutras. Boom! The arena trembled violently, and the sky was torn apart. The immortal Tao ripples that spread out from Su Yan's body were too strong. This was just the leaked qi, but it was already enough to make the experts in the distance tremble. What Tao is that? I seem to have heard the chanting of thousands of sutras. What kind of supreme art is the young devil king cultivating? Legend has it that the strongest sutra of the celestial court is the beginning sutra. This name is already shocking enough. The beginning of man is the first stage of cultivation, but the peerless sutra of the celestial court is called the beginning sutra. Some experts who were about to step into the golden immortal realm were aghast. Su Yan's flesh shell flowed with terrifying radiance, and the majestic airflow that came out of the flesh shell was accompanied by thousands of sutras. Boom! Soon, the arena was as chaotic as the sea, and there were layers of fog. Inside, there was an aura that could split the world apart. The chaos seemed to have collapsed, and it evolved into the universe. Inside, there was a storm, wind, and thunder. The chaos seemed to have exploded, giving birth to wind, fire, thunder, and lightning. Metal, wood, water, fire, and earth were faintly discernible in the chaos, blooming when the sky was split open. Even flowers, birds, fishes, insects, stars, the Big Dipper, the moon, and the sun were born. What Tao is that? Everyone was shocked. The immortal aura that came out of the chaos was thick and rolling. It was as if thousands of long rivers of Taos had filled the world. They appeared in the chaos and transformed into the form of Tao. Soon, thousands of Taos resonated and merged together under the rotation of the chaos. It was as if they had turned into a great universe, resonating with the space-time of the Emperor Road. It vaguely triggered the energy of the Emperor Road's heaven and earth, and was merging with the Tao technique universe that Su Yan presented. At this moment, Su Yan's aura was truly sky-piercing. He felt as if he had stepped into the golden immortal realm and was on the path to heaven. Golden immortal? The Devil King is breaking through. Everyone was shocked. The phenomenon was getting more and more shocking. The Emperor Road's universe sank, and seemed to have merged with Su Yan. This caused his aura to soar endlessly. It was as if he was being nurtured by the universe, and was about to become a supreme god of war. Was this the golden immortal realm? Su Yan had the most direct understanding of this realm. Merging with the heaven and earth and the universe was the embodiment of monstrous magic power. It was extremely powerful and shocking. Boom! In the next moment, Su Yan's body shook violently. His qi and blood surged. My burial of 10,000 bodies had been activated. Thousands of immortals and devils were faintly discernible in the Tao technique ocean. It was as if they were about to merge into one. At this moment, Su Yan was terrifying and frightening. He felt that he needed an endless amount of energy in order to achieve a super great evolution. Once he stepped into this realm, it would be of great significance to Su Yan. Even his primordial spirit began to appear, and turned into an indestructible sun. It emerged from the chaos, illuminating the universe and the stars, and illuminating the thousands of scriptures and great Tao imprints. Now, Su Yan had top-notch resources on him. Golden immortal fruit, rainbow soul flower, and Tier 8 immortal body fluid. He was no longer worried about the availability of resources. As long as he could find a place of fortune, he would be able to fulfill all the conditions for a breakthrough. This day is very close to me. Su Yan cut off his path to a breakthrough. He felt that he still needed to temper himself. My burial of 10,000 bodies still had some potential to be unearthed. When Su Yan woke up and opened his eyes, he saw the Emperor's ranking slowly disappearing. There was no doubt that the creation time of the top 100 competition had come to an end. The hundreds of space-time paths were slightly blurred and were about to disappear. It's about to begin. At the same time, the entire Emperor Road battlefield was once again ignited with the flames of war. This time it was different. Only 100 experts erupted. They appeared out of nowhere, and the terrifying power that rained down contained an aura that could tear everything apart. Anyone in the top 100 competition was a top-notch expert. Once they encountered each other, it would be the beginning of the most terrifying era of the Emperor Road. Kill, faint roars could be heard. This was a great era and the strongest belief in the world. Peerless and terrifying people crowded the universe's starry sky. The silhouettes of 100 Ingjie also became infinitely magnificent. It was as if the invincible god of war had been resurrected. "It's starting!" An old monster outside roared. At the end of the ancient space-time path, an ancient universe's black hole appeared. It lay at the end of the Emperor Road, as if it could devour everything. This was the Emperor Road's final destination. Su Yan's blood was boiling. He felt as if his soul had returned to his homeland. He could not help but let out a long howl. He had been waiting for this moment for too many years. Finally, the time had come. "I have a strong urge to return immediately." Su Yan's long black hair danced in the wind. The light in his eyes was dazzling. His emotions were fluctuating violently. Could he find out everything he wanted to know? Su Yan took a deep breath and suppressed the emotions in his heart. The opening of this path also signaled the beginning of the pinnacle competition. Therefore, nothing could affect Su Yan's state of mind. Although he was already in the golden immortal realm, there was always someone stronger. He could not afford to be careless. Otherwise, he would die in the ultimate competition. In the history of the Emperor Road competition, the top 100 competition had suffered the heaviest casualties. More than half of them died in the final destination. This showed how cruel and harsh it was. The top 100 competition was already strong enough. The fall of any expert would be a great loss to the Emperor Road. In fact, on this day, the experts on the top 100 competition could not help but think. What was the purpose of the Emperor Road's existence? They did not believe that the Celestial Court would be so kind as to create such a huge training ground to benefit the world. Perhaps there were other purposes. Perhaps only those who had become the supreme of the Emperor Road competition were qualified to know more. In fact, most of the supreme of the Emperor Road competition came from the Celestial Court. There were also some who were lucky enough to obtain it. However, they were not lucky because there had been major incidents where the supreme of the Emperor Road competition had been killed. After all, this world was dominated by terrifying creatures. They were very curious about the Emperor Road's ultimate secret place. Boom! In an instant, the hundreds of arenas changed. They were huge and shocking. It was as if they had turned into one huge warship after another. Every arena changed. Runes surged and supreme Great Tao imprints appeared. Soon, they left the battlefield of the top 100 competition and rushed toward the Emperor Road's final destination, toward the ancient cosmic black hole. "Here I come, ultimate competition." Su Yan's eyes widened. He stared at the cosmic black hole as if he was looking into another world. Chapter 1694. Before they left, the tensor came and threw an ancient token to Su Yan. This was a special secret order of the Celestial Court. It was very valuable. Currently, the Flame Emperor organization only had a limited number of complete copies. This thing could be used to track the whereabouts of other secret order holders. Its range was very wide. Even if they were separated by a large region, the ancient token could be used to capture them. To reach the Emperor Road's final destination, one had to go through a special ancient road. No one knew if this road was dangerous or not. After all, a heaven-defying tragedy happened in the Emperor Road 1,000,000 years ago. Even now, it was shrouded in mystery. No one knew what happened. Therefore, the Emperor Road's final destination was not as safe as it used to be. There might be some tricky problems. However, the Emperor Road had its own rules. Although the Emperor Road's rules were broken in the war 1,000,000 years ago, the rules were still there. However, it was better to be careful. It's starting now. It was a shocking scene. Hundreds of Emperor Road's arenas rushed to the top of the sky. Then, they followed a path and rushed toward the black hole at the end of the area. "I wonder what will happen in this life," the Sword Sect's founding ancestor whispered. He had once fought for the Emperor Road's final destination. He knew what was on the other side of the Emperor Road. However, it was different this time. Only God knew what they would experience. In particular, the old antiques from various clans were having a hard time calming down. They wanted to know what was going on. They placed all their hopes on this group of young people. After all, too many people died in the past, which led to a shocking change in the structure of the universe. The Celestial Court was such a huge entity. What was the reason for its collapse? They wanted to know the answer. After all, this disaster had spread to the Xianwang celestial region. It caused the spacetime of the Xianwang celestial region to fall. Until now, it was still a broken little universe. It was said that the Xianwang celestial region had been swallowed by the dark matter. What was this dark matter involved? Suddenly, some of the Daozu experts were having a hard time calming down. It affected the heaven and earth. Some experts from various clans were frightened. They felt that something was wrong with their clan's founding ancestor. It seemed like he was vaguely emitting a feeling of fear. What was it? Why did the founding ancestor feel this way? Darkness. Some of the ancient primogenitors could vaguely see the future calamity. Their deep eyes stared at the sealed heavenly sun prefecture. They were wondering if the darkness would sweep across the entire immortal heavenly domain again. What would happen when that day came? There was a great secret hidden in this world that was deeply related to the Emperor Road. All of a sudden, they had a strong premonition that they might be able to unravel the mystery in this life. Isn't this universe black hole too big? Su Yan was astonished. The arena charged towards its destination without limit. Even space and time were distorted. The speed was rather inconceivable. He didn't know how far it had sprinted. In short, the black hole at the end of Emperor Road was becoming more and more terrifying. When it was within reach, it was truly boundless and majestic. It was like the gate of the universe, devouring one's soul. Swish, 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 one after another, the Emperor Road's battle arenas rushed into the universe's black hole. They could not even cause a ripple because they were too small. They were like dust particles rushing into the black hole. The onlookers were shocked. The scene was so impactful that it disappeared just like that. No one knew what they would encounter next. "Can't we witness the final battle of Emperor Road with our own eyes?" someone asked with a frown. This battle was completely different. It involved the grudges between the two camps. They even wanted to see how terrifying the legendary Golden Immortals were. "They will." An old monster who had lived for a long time said, "The final battle is the pinnacle of the Battle of Hegemony Dojo. When they rush out of a mysterious ancient road, the Emperor ranking will show them this battle." They were relieved, especially the Xian people. They wanted to show the world how the number one paragon of the Xian people became the paragon of the Emperor ranking. In short, the Xian people were looking forward to this battle. History would prove the strength of the Xian people. In a world where one couldn't even see their own fingers, the silence between heaven and earth was suffocating. It was too quiet. It was as if time didn't exist. Su Yan could hear his own heartbeat. In this extremely quiet universe black hole, he couldn't see anything with his eyes. It was as dark as ink, which made him a little nervous. Moreover, the universe black hole was too big. The experts who were traveling with them couldn't sense their life force at all. In the endless darkness, only the Emperor Road arena was emitting an ancient light. It was as if it was crossing the sea of stars. The vast light reflected on an extremely dilapidated great world. Su Yan was shocked. What happened here? Could it be that this was the final battlefield? Could it be that Emperor Road's final battle had been destroyed? One should know that the Emperor Road arena was very fast. However, the dark and dilapidated scene made Su Yan feel extremely depressed. What's that? In the next moment, Su Yan's heart trembled. He felt a huge pressure. It was terrifying. It was as if the universe was sinking. The influence was huge. A quick glance at the scene stunned Su Yen. He saw a huge corpse. He didn't know how tall it was, but he couldn't see the end of it. Its body was so huge that the broken stars were as small as dust in front of it. Su Yen was shocked. All the hair on his body stood on end. What kind of expert was this? It was quite unbelievable. Its pores were like stars, standing tall and filled with an unparalleled heavenly might. It was as if the strongest great Tao was pressing down, causing the Emperor Road arena to tremble. Buzz! The arena lit up and flashed with dense runes. In an instant it became countless times stronger. Even so, Su Yen still felt that his body was about to explode. Unbelievable! How strong is it? Su Yen was shocked. This was because this giant was an undead life form. It didn't even have a head. The headless giant's corpse stood in the dark and dilapidated universe black hole. Although it was dead, Su Yen still captured its life force. Even though it had been dead for a long time, its body still contained the essence of qi and blood. Su Yen was shocked. It was a pity that he only caught a glimpse of the scene. He couldn't find out the details. It was a pity that he couldn't rely on his own strength to return. Otherwise, he might be able to obtain a shocking inheritance. Su Yen couldn't feel the passage of time at all. It was easy to forget about the struggle for supremacy in the Emperor Road during the lonely journey. The world was filled with too many unknowns and mysteries. Moreover, the Emperor Road arena was constantly trembling. It was burning vigorously with immortal path runes. There were also supreme great Tao imprints manifesting. It was obvious that something had happened along the way, causing the arena to recover enough power. Gradually, Su Yen noticed that the arena's energy was severely depleted. His face darkened. He said, "There's an unknown threat in the universe black hole? I've never heard of it before. This might be a battlefield from 1,000,000 years ago." It was understandable. This was a place of no life. If he lost the arena's protection, he might very well die. Su Yan's heart was beating faster. He maintained his highest vigilance at all times. He also stared at the universe black hole. He really wanted to reach the end as soon as possible. He even suspected that the Emperor Road's final destination wasn't in the undying heavenly domain at all. He had traveled such a long distance, but he still hadn't reached his destination. It was a little too far-fetched. Along the way, Su Yen saw some strange corpses. His expression was serious. The celestial court had killed their way here in the past. Hundreds of millions of soldiers were buried here. Were they sent to the universe black hole? Su Yen didn't dare to believe this legend. Bam! Suddenly, the Emperor Road arena trembled violently. It was hit by Dali's powerful force and almost flipped over. "Who's there?" Su Yen stood up immediately. His powerful aura leaked out as he maintained his peak condition. It seemed like someone was attacking the arena just now. However, Su Yen didn't see any traces of living beings. His expression was a little gloomy. Could there still be a living expert in the Emperor Road's final destination? He didn't know how much time had passed. The previous experience only happened once, and it didn't happen again. However, Su Yan's back was drenched in cold sweat. He felt like there was a terrifying creature watching him from the darkness. That gaze made him shudder. "I finally see the light." At this moment, Su Yen relaxed a little. The universe black hole wasn't so dark anymore. There was some light. He could see some outlines of mountains and rivers, but they were still lifeless. It didn't look like a land of fortune. It was obvious that he hadn't reached his destination yet. Su Yen noticed that the Emperor Road arena's aura was getting weaker and weaker. It might collapse at any time. It might not be able to send Su Yen to his destination. He might have to walk the rest of the way by himself. He clenched his fists and secretly held the stone token. He wondered how Yuan and the others were doing. Could they reach their destination safely? In the dark world, the arena stretched across the sky. Gradually, the world became brighter. Although the sky and earth looked extremely dilapidated, there was still a faint vitality. In the end, the Emperor Road Arena couldn't hold on any longer. The speed at which it crossed was greatly reduced. The runes engraved on the arena also began to dim. Su Yen was speechless. If it weren't for the Emperor Road Arena's protection, there would be no hope of crossing the dangerous forbidden zone. In the past, when the Emperor Road's final destination opened, it was always the Emperor Road Arena that led people to it. No one knew the universal coordinates of the Emperor Road's final destination. At this moment, the exhausted arena fell to the ground and broke open a patch of soil. However, the soil here was very hard. There were only a few cracks on the ground. Su Yen walked out. Without the arena's protection, he was greeted by a cold aura. It was so cold that it penetrated his bones. It was so cold that it almost froze the blood in his body. The path ahead is the ultimate land of fortune. I have to cross this area as soon as possible. Su Yen rushed forward. He felt uneasy. He kept feeling that some creature was watching him. He moved as fast as lightning and sprinted forward. However, the uneasiness in his heart grew stronger. He even felt a chill run down his spine. Suddenly, Su Yen abruptly turned his head around and saw a figure flashing in the air. The pitch-black silhouette gave people a great sense of oppression. It was like a dead spirit that crawled out of hell. It opened its pair of blood-red eyes that were cold and merciless. Su Yen felt a chill run down his spine. His expression was horrifying. Was there really a creature here? Was it a powerhouse that survived the ultimate war 1,000,000 years ago? Location on the calendar, it spoke. His face could not be seen at all. Only a pair of blood-red eyes glowed. Su Yen could not understand what it was saying. He was on high alert. The supreme holy sword on his back was also restless. It could be unsheathed at any time and unleash a terrifying killing power. Then it laughed. Its blood-red eyes were eerie and emitted a terrifying great Tao will. Trash from the human world. Its eyes were full of contempt as it looked down at Su Yen. The dark figure's movements could not be seen. It kept flashing around Su Yen. Chapter 1695. In a dark and gloomy world, a dilapidated ancient land, everything was gray. Heaven and earth were extremely cold, making it hard for one to breathe. Such an environment was not suitable for living creatures at all. The flowers and trees were all withered and there was no sign of life. Staying here for a long time would drive one crazy. However, if a dark creature that had lived here for a long time suddenly appeared in front of you, it would be strange if you did not panic. This black figure was very strange, and it was flickering in and out of existence in the space-time. Only a pair of blood-red eyes could tell that this was a special creature that had signs of life and was floating in the space-time. Su Yen was facing a great enemy. His long black hair danced in the wind, and his flesh shell surged with a strong life aura. Facing an unknown enemy, Su Yen was a little troubled, but the battle blood in his body was still burning. He could not sit still and wait for death. "Who are you?" Su Yen shouted. What was the human world? Su Yen did not know this name, and he had never heard of it before. He was even more alert now. Could this be an old monster that had lived for a long time? The area he was in was the Emperor Road spacetime. Outside was the undying heavenly domain, and outside was the void spacetime. There were also big and small universes, and on the other side of the undying heavenly domain was the black-yellow universe. Without a doubt, the black-yellow universe was very far away from the undying heavenly domain, as if they were not in the same plane. Once, the celestial emperor of the celestial court created a path that connected the two worlds in the void spacetime. Only then did they understand each other. Otherwise, the undying heavenly domain would have thought that they were the only heavenly domain in the vast void spacetime. The chi and blood in Su Yan's body was dense and exuberant. It dispersed the gloomy and cold aura that filled the sky. The powerful aura covered the sky and covered the earth, like a burning furnace of life. It was blazing and surging, illuminating this gloomy world with a bright and resplendent light. At the same time, Su Yan's divine eyes were like lightning, and he locked onto the black figure. Although it was difficult to see what kind of life form it was, Su Yan vaguely caught some familiar fluctuations. Dark calamity. Su Yan's expression turned grim. This was the aura of darkness, the fluctuation of the demonic fog. Su Yan was all too familiar with this type of aura, as he had almost died in it before. It had been many years since he last encountered this kind of aura. He did not expect to encounter a dark creature in Emperor Road. He clenched his fist. This was a great enemy. It could be said that he was the public enemy of the entire universe. Was he a hunter in the dark who lived in the Emperor Road? Little thing, you're not that strong, but you're quite knowledgeable. The dark figure was laughing, releasing an ancient and grand will of the great Tao, shaking up heaven and earth until it trembled and rumbled endlessly. The will of the great Tao that he released was too shocking. There was a power that could sweep through the world flowing through it, suppressing the void to the point that it was trembling and cracking. One had to understand that the world here was extremely sturdy, even powerful individuals finding it difficult to shatter the void. However, this creature was too unsimple, as if it was a dark monarch that overlooked all life, high up above. But you're right, it's a disaster. The dark figure laughed loudly. His words were ancient, and no one could understand what he was saying. Only the will of the great Tao that he exuded could be understood. He sneered and said, "Since you have seen me, why don't you kneel and pay your respects?" In an instant, Su Yan erupted. There was nothing to say. Since they had encountered this creature, it was destined to be a fight to the death. At the same time, he was also anxious. Once Yuan and the others encountered this creature, they would most likely be in mortal danger. Who knew how many dark creatures were hidden in this ancient land? Kill! Su Yan roared loudly. His black hair danced, and his battle prowess was fully released. Su Yan's essence, qi, and spirit were boundlessly turbulent and powerful. There was no doubt that Su Yan had erupted with his peak battle prowess. His aura was approaching the golden immortal realm, and he instantly became much more terrifying. Dong! He waved his fist, and the beginning sutra in his physical body bloomed, causing Su Yan's fist to become boundlessly huge. It was like a cosmic comet, and with a loud rumble, it smashed toward the dark creature. Moreover, it contained a frightening sealing power. The dark spirit glowed, and an extremely brutal radiance was emitted from its blood-red eyes. A small fry had attacked it, and it was really angry. Once its aura recovered, boundless darkness covered the sky and covered the sun, causing the world to be filled with een and darkness. It was as if the purgatory of gods and devils was pressing down, wanting to drown the powerful life force in Su Yan's body. Su Yan's fist was blocked, and he couldn't break through the dark light screen for a moment. His eyes were wide open in anger, and his fist surged with the power of beginning, suppressing the great Tao of darkness and bombarding the main body of the dark spirit. You small fry, you're delusional to think that you can suppress my great Tao. The dark spirit shouted coldly. You really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Do you think you've become a saint? The initial chi images in the sky were arranged, temporarily blocking the scene of the darkness pressing down. Su Yan maintained absolute calmness and said, I thought you were a grand heavenly realm expert, but you're only SOSO. Your strength isn't at its peak, and you still call me a small fry? Do you really think you're something? Ant-like thing, wait for me to devour the blood chi in your body, and I'll recover my strength to hunt other insects. The dark spirit said coldly, I didn't expect you to be a golden immortal, which was rare even in the most prosperous era of the human world. Seems like you're also a big fish in this world. What human world? Su Yan wanted to know more about the past, and he stopped for a moment. You still want to kill me? With your current state, I don't think you can do it. Hee hee, how pitiful. You've even forgotten the name of your world. What's left of the mortal realm? Are there any experts left? The dark spirit despised, even the history was cut off, what was left of this world. Su Yan's heart trembled. Our world was called the human world in the ancient era? He had heard from Fan Jian that the immortal heavenly domain was called the burial ground in the past, but that was the prehistoric era, which was billions of years ago. Regarding the burial ground, the world's understanding of it was quite limited. It was a broken history. Could it be that the human world was even older than the burial ground? This made Su Yan particularly shocked. How much time had passed? What was the history cut off? Could it be that the battle of the Dark Calamity had already begun in the human world? If the history was cut off, could it be that this world had been defeated time and time again? Then, did the Xianhuang universe also belong to the human world? In the next moment, Su Yan's expression was cold, and he said, "Is your world very strong? I don't think so. If it's really strong, why can't it even take down our world? What does an ant like you know?" The dark spirit said coldly, "This burial ground is about to disappear, and your world will soon cease to exist." Su Yan's eyes widened in anger. The Emperor Road disappeared. Would the Dark Calamity sweep across the world? Could it be that the purpose of the Emperor Road's existence was not only the trial grounds, but also to fight against the Dark World? But how could the war a million years ago be explained? Or was it that the ancient celestial emperors who created the Emperor Road were so terrifying that they stopped them for so long? What happened here a million years ago? Su Yan asked, and the dark spirit suddenly attacked, rushing towards Su Yan and shouted, "You talk too much nonsense. Wait until I kill you and take your soul memory, then I'll see how miserable your world is now. Kill!" He let out a loud roar, and the world darkened to the extreme. His dark figure seemed to be burning with holy flames, and billowing black fog filled the air, filled with the power to devour all living things, came out in full force and drowned Su Yan. This was the demonic fog, the true source of calamity, which could devour all chi of life and represented fear. Even if the demonic fog could block it, it was just that the moment the demonic fog was about to drown Su Yan, his gray blood boiled, roared, and leaked out on its own, turning into the divine armor, covering Su Yan's flesh shell. In an instant, Su Yan's aura was blazing, shattering the demonic fog that filled the sky. How did you do it?" The dark spirit was shocked, and it was somewhat unbelievable that he could scatter the demonic fog. One should know that even in the most prosperous era of the human world, there were very few scriptures that could block the demonic fog. But how did he do it? Su Yan was also surprised. Back then, when he was buried in the darkness, his special bloodline devoured the dark matter, causing Su Yan's bloodline to mutate, and also gave birth to Su Yan's innate ability to resist the demonic fog. "Ha ha ha, let's see how you're going to deal with me." Su Yan laughed angrily and in an instant erupted. His flesh, mana, and primordial spirit burned at the same time, and he stood in his strongest state, and he activated a series of great supernatural powers, evolving the reincarnation heaven-punishing Tao, and attacked forward. The heaven-punishing Ten Tao has been passed down. The dark spirit was roaring, and Su Yan was even more shocked. This old monster knew too many things, and as he guessed, this was the heaven-punishing secret technique, which had 10 supernatural powers, and Su Yan had only mastered 2 of them. Su Yan's fist was terrifying, and it made the dark spirit tremble violently. Soon, Su Yan also saw its body clearly. It was only a black head, and it was even riddled with holes. There was rotten flesh everywhere, and it flowed with eerie light beams, and it was quite evil. "Disgusting creature, I'll smash your head!" Su Yan roared, and his killing intent became more and more intense. He entered the strongest battle domain, and his left hand evolved the reincarnation heaven-punishing Tao, and his right hand evolved the immortal slaying Tao. The two supernatural powers exploded at the same time, and the heaven-punishing domain rotated all over the sky. The black head was bleeding, and the rotten flesh on its face fell off. The dark spirit's face was ferocious, and it also felt that it had encountered a freak. It thought that it was prey, but who knew that it had such a strong background, and it broke its strongest technique. Su Yan's battle blood boiled, and he attacked forward. At the same time, he shouted, "You're not convinced? I'll kill you, so what are you being arrogant in front of me? Bastard, if I wasn't heavily injured, I could crush you with a finger." The black head burned with dark flames, and it used a powerful supernatural power to resist, but Su Yan's heaven punishing was not made of paper. He continued to attack, and the black head started to crack. What's the use of talking nonsense? You can't escape death in the end. Su Yan's moves were bold, and he kept attacking, not giving the dark spirit any time to breathe. "Haha, so what if I die?" The dark spirit sneered. "Pitiful bug, your world is doomed. No one can stop you in the future, and no one can escape." "What a joke," Su Yan said angrily. "I've seen the powerhouses of your world, and I don't know how many times more terrifying they are than you. Unfortunately, a lot of them were still destroyed." Su Yan's words made the dark spirit laugh. "What's the point of saying such nonsense? The human world has withered long ago. How long can it maintain peace by relying on the incomplete energy of the universe? It's just an ignoble existence." He was about to be destroyed by Su Yan, but he still looked down on Su Yan's world with a disgusting face. With a calm expression, Su Yan presented the series of memories that had occurred in his sea of awareness above the undying heavenly Sunday. Although these memories were relatively vague, they still evolved into a terrifying battlefield. What was that? Powerhouses with large cauldrons on their heads blasted through the gray passage, and even the terrifying power attacked the world they were in, launching a supreme attack. The dark spirit's blood-stained head stiffened, only its blood-red eyes were opened angrily, and it was so angry that its eyes were about to crack, and its pupils were vertical. Isn't this legend never going to come back?" He let out a terrified voice, and his voice trembled as he said, "Isn't the legendary person trapped in the buried Emperor Vile Earth, never to return? Why?" Chapter 1696. Su Yan unleashed his full power. Murderous light flashed in his eyes. In his golden immortal state, he was unimaginably powerful. The divine light that flowed out filled the heavens and the earth, and the energy waves that rained down brought about thunderous booms. "Kill!" Su Yan roared. He attacked with all his might, attacking the head in his strongest state. He would not give it any chance to turn the tables, and he would not let it go. Boundless heavenly power vibrated. In an instant, the bloody head trembled violently. The memory images that Su Yan projected had caused the black head to lose its mind for a short period of time. That was how Su Yan managed to inflict heavy damage on it. "Arg!" the black head screamed. Su Yan's frontal bone released the power of the Sun Mother Sutra. It was like the strongest Tao fire that could burn the world. With the Mother Sutra's might, it invaded his mind and crushed his primordial spirit. Injuries were piled on top of injuries. The bloody head was about to collapse. It let out a furious roar. "Little trash, you tricked me. This is not the original body of the legendary person. It's his incarnation that was placed on the Emperor Road. Why are you asking so many questions when you're already dead?" Su Yan roared. His palms were filled with terrifying power. He was going to end the bloody head. Boom! Its head glowed, black fog billowed, and a mysterious sacrificial chant was heard. It seemed to be supreme. Vaguely, a supreme great Tao imprint appeared on its head. It was blooming faintly, and Su Yan's body was about to explode from the pressure. His face turned pale. Could this be a severely injured Daozu powerhouse? He was only left with a head. Could he still summon his peak combat strength for a short period of time? If that was the case, Su Yan would die without a doubt. Boom! All of a sudden, the boundless world of darkness was filled with a heavenly might that had existed since ancient times. It also rippled with an extremely terrifying sealing power that suddenly pressed down on the black head. No! The black head screamed. What kind of powerhouse was he? How could he be willing to die in Su Yan's hands? This was the natural order of the Emperor Road. It suppressed the battle prowess of the Emperor Road's resurrection. Su Yan laughed loudly as he attacked, smashing the Emperor's head into pieces with his palms. He even unsheathed the dark holy sword on his back. Boundless sword light flowed, riddling the void with thousands of holes. In an instant, the sword pierced through the dark creature's forehead and directly cut down the dark creature's primordial spirit. Die! Su Yan let out a low roar. The sword embryo awakened once again and tore his primordial spirit into pieces. In order to prevent his remnant soul from escaping, Su Yan's palms pushed forward and transformed into a huge furnace, suppressing him within. There was nothing much to say. Su Yan did his best to refine it. Together with the power of the beginning sutra, he transformed it into a cosmic furnace and refined it into a pile of ashes. This was too cruel. Su Yan had never been so careful and cautious. In the end, he didn't even let go of a pile of ashes. He used the power of the immortal Tao to grind it into nothingness. After doing all this, Su Yan heaved a sigh of relief. The supreme sword embryo had returned. His breathing was heavy, and his body was covered in sweat. He had suffered great losses in the short battle. Once he stepped into the golden immortal realm, Su Yan wouldn't be able to maintain his battle prowess for long. He's finally dead. He wiped off his cold sweat and took out some medicinal pills to recover his losses. Su Yan's eyes were cold. This was most likely a Daozu powerhouse with a damaged body. He had actually killed a Daozu? Who would believe this? Fortunately, he had the suppression of the Emperor Road. Otherwise, he would have really turned the tables. His bloodline has undergone a mutation, and he has developed resistance to the dark matter? At this moment, Su Yan was pleasantly surprised. He could rely on himself to suppress the demonic fog that had caused headaches for all the powerhouses in the world. This was somewhat heaven-defying. It also proved that Su Yan's bloodline was quite abnormal and ridiculous. Soon, Su Yan fell silent. He recalled the dark creature's words and felt a strong sense of urgency. It came from the future and suppressed Su Yan's mind. He could foresee the horror of the future. He had a premonition that this world would encounter some ridiculous things. Once the dark matter invaded again, who could stop it? Who could stop it? Would this universe still exist? Crackle, crackle. He clenched his fist. There was no point in thinking too much. The only thing he could do was to become strong enough and terrifying enough. He would definitely be able to suppress everything and protect his home. Time was running out. He was looking forward to the ultimate land of fortune. It could give him a way to become stronger quickly. In the vast immortal celestial domain, Daozu was a giant. However, in the other dark universe, Daozu was probably not the strongest powerhouse. No emperor under the heavens? Su Yan mumbled. Could it be that only by becoming an emperor could one become the most terrifying existence? Boom! In the next moment, Su Yan disappeared. He had been activating the ancient celestial court's secret order. Soon, he caught a trace of another secret order. It was a bit far from him, but if he rushed over with all his might, it wouldn't take him too long to reach it. What's wrong with the Xian people? The immortal celestial domain was very quiet. At the tens of thousands of entrances to the Emperor Road, experts from various races were waiting for the Emperor ranking to begin. However, on this day, the immortal continent rumbled violently. A terrifying quasi-Daozu powerhouse was enraged. Even the weakened Xian Tianrong was on the verge of going crazy. It could be said that his eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. That was because a king ranked in the top 100 of the Emperor ranking had fallen. The Yuan Shun lamp had been extinguished, which meant that he had died. What kind of genius was this? He was a king ranked in the top 100, a slumbering king in the Sien people's precious land. He had only been born for a few years. But now, the emperor ranking had yet to begin, and a king of the Sien people had already died. How could it be so ridiculous? What had happened? At the same time, another ancient race was enraged. Their killing intent soared to the sky. The leader of the race was on the verge of going crazy. Their only king ranked in the top 100 had fallen. When the news spread, the entire world was in an uproar. The atmosphere in the immortal celestial domain was tense. One after another, the great sects could not calm down. Their strongest disciples had stepped into the Emperor Road's final destination, but bad news kept coming. Could it be that something big had happened in the Emperor Road? Could it be that the final battle 1,000,000 years ago had not ended? Was it still continuing? Oh no, something big has happened. The grand ancestors of the Sien people were terrified. They shouted, "Hurry up and inform the primogenitor. Find a way to bring the first paragon out. The unknown danger could bring about terrible consequences." The entire world was nervous, especially the Sien people. How could something like this happen when the Sien people were supposed to be at their peak? Is the Emperor Road done for? Someone said, the celestial court has basically disintegrated. Maybe the Emperor Road is done for. It can no longer maintain the environment for the younger generation to compete. The celestial court is doing this on purpose. They knew that they would be stopped by the other peak races, but they still agreed to the condition of the 3 strongest spots on the Emperor ranking. The golden turtle progenitor stood out and said forcefully, "Little brother, are you the mastermind? Do you want to kill all the experts so that the celestial court can get the spots? I seriously suspect that the death of my son was influenced by other factors. I hope that the celestial court can give the world an explanation. If they really can't maintain the Emperor Road, please hand over the control of the Emperor Road to the world." The golden turtle progenitor's words shook hundreds of continents. It continued to spread and expand, causing a violent storm. They would rather believe it than not. Even if there were any dangerous factors, it would threaten the successors of the various clans and threaten the future glory of the various clans. Not to mention, dozens of Daozu's sons and daughters had gone to the battlefield. Once the bad news of their deaths happened one after another, no one could bear the consequences. The entire world was shocked. Another one of the top 100 experts had fallen, a total of 4. The matter was somewhat frightening. All the Dao ancestors of the various races stood up, hoping that the heavenly court could give them an explanation. "Little brother, why are you not responding?" The golden turtle progenitor roared. "Do you really think that we won't break the rules and attack again to destroy the celestial court? Destroy the bound universe?" The revenge of the death of one's son was so tragic. In the past, the golden turtle progenitor might have chosen to remain silent. Now, he was furious and threatened to destroy the bound universe. This immediately caused a lot of response. The golden turtle progenitor's words carried a lot of weight. The races of the sealed heaven region really wanted to do it again. 1,000,000 years ago, they invaded the bound universe and gained a lot, but in the end, they did not get the strongest treasure of the celestial court. If they joined forces to attack the bound universe again, the celestial court would not be able to withstand it in its current state. Su Yen traveled all the way, crossing the vast uninhabited region before finally arriving at his destination. Su Yen. Yun was pleasantly surprised. Her condition was not very good. She was attacked by a black bone hand. She could have resisted it with her strength, but the dark matter was too terrible. It was extremely difficult for her to resist it with her incomplete Tying Mother Sutra. However, it was not so easy for the black bone hand to destroy Yun. "Here comes another one who wants to die." The dark creature let out a cold voice. Seeing Su Yen rushing toward it, the black bone hand rose. In an instant it was huge and boundless, suppressing Su Yen. Boom! Su Yan's aura surged. As soon as he attacked, a series of great magical powers appeared. The Kuanping secret technique, the initial force, the sword body technique, and even the reincarnation and heaven punishing path. What a violent scene this was! The whole world was gloomy. Nothing could be seen clearly. Only the blazing light was erupting and drowning the universe's starry sky. Su Yan's strength was overwhelming. He bombarded the dark bone hand until it was riddled with holes. The dark matter that this race was so proud of could not threaten Su Yan at all. Who are you? The black bone hand was terrified. This person was terrifying. He carried many prehistoric orthodoxies on his back and descended from the sky. Most importantly, Su Yan could stop the dark matter's invasion. This was a major news, and it had to be spread. Arg! He screamed. He could not withstand Su Yan's attack at all. It was impossible for him to escape. Crack! The bone hand broke, and his remnant soul was burning. He used to be an extremely terrifying creature. Now, he was being crushed by Su Yan, a true immortal. His remnant body was disintegrating and was about to explode. In the next moment, Su Yan's eyes blazed with killing intent. This was a vicious person who attacked without saying a word. He used the cruelest method to kill. The bone hand was directly crushed and turned into ashes. Chapter 1697. From the moment Su Yan made his move to the end, everything happened too quickly. It was simple yet violent. Yun was stunned. Su Yan's strength had shocked her. He was even resistant to the demonic mist and could ignore it. For a moment she was silent. Su Yan, who had been sleeping in the dragon coffin for 60 years and was mysteriously resurrected, was a little native. His growth over 100 years was like a dream. Today, he had become the supreme overlord of the Emperor Road, looking down on the world. Looking back, the most unforgettable memory in the depths of her mind was her university life before Earth entered the divine and demonic civilization. She couldn't help but sigh. Time could really change things. This was the great era of gods and demons. It was bloody and cruel. Death was always a threat. The stronger one was, the greater the test. Were the casualties in the Emperor Road not heavy enough? Even now, the top 100 Sky Prides were facing the threat of death. One after another, the Overlord's Sky Prides died. Who knew how many dark creatures were still hiding in the vast universe? Are you okay? Su Yan looked at Yun. He looked at this former icy beauty. Her black hair shone brightly. Her figure was graceful, and her skin was like jade. She had a holy aura, and the aura of extreme circulated around her. This was the Mother Sutra that shocked the world. I became a disciple of a mysterious fairy. She taught me many things. Yun smiled. Her misty eyes shone brightly. She said, I'm fine. Who would have thought that I and you would be standing here today? Su Yan's emotions were fluctuating. He also recalled the time on Earth. Hundreds of years had passed in the blink of an eye. It seemed like almost 200 years had passed. He had experienced too many unforgettable things. Su Yan was different from Yun. There were too many mysteries surrounding him. He had already come to the Emperor Road's ultimate destination and encountered these strange changes. He also learned some things. His heart was heavy. The pressure from the future was too great. It was difficult for him to have much time to breathe. Then, Su Yan was greatly shocked. Yun had become a disciple of Dao Shi. She had even met the old leader. The old leader had received great fortune. It was suspected that he had obtained the inheritance of the ancient celestial emperors. His cultivation had already reached the grand heavenly realm. That was why he missed the Emperor Road contest. After receiving the news that the old leader was safe, Su Yan laughed heartily. I didn't expect the old leader to have such a fortuitous encounter. Fairy Shi is really special. She can even sort out the Lunar Mother Sutra in Xian Jun's body. They talked as they walked. Su Yan was heading towards his next destination. I feel like there's nothing in this world. Master? Su Yan's heart was filled with shock. Which heavenly emperor was it? Su Yan suspected that she was the guardian of the Emperor Road. He did not know how many years she had lived in the Emperor Road. In short, Dao Shi's origin was shocking. However, due to the unique characteristics of the Emperor Road, it was difficult for her to come out. Someone has fallen, Yin was shocked. Along the way, she saw a wasteland. A great battle had taken place here. The area was covered in cracks. This was a tough ancient land. It was clear how terrifying the battle was. Of course, no one in the top 100 could be ignored. A terrible battle had taken place here. Even now, the energy aura was still leaking out. The dead cultivator's skin was dry and lifeless. Their souls were empty shells. Su Yan's expression was cold. He was speeding up. Only the heavens knew how many dark creatures were still alive in this ancient land. The vast ancient world was vast and boundless. They continued to travel. It was difficult to sense the passing of time. Just like that, Su Yan finally got close to the secret order. As he had guessed, the battle here was very intense. Roar one phoenix. The silver true phoenix soared through the sky. It possessed the great power of the supreme beings. Its wings could split the sky. Its brilliant figure was shining brightly as it attacked a dark creature. This was a tough battle. They had to face the erosion of the devil's fog. Fortunately, they had experienced the threat of this material back in the Xianwang universe. They were already prepared. Otherwise, Iron Rooster would not have been able to survive. He would have died. Su Yan, you're here. The miserly rooster cried out loudly. It spread its huge wings and soared to the top of the sky with a rumble, leaving the battlefield to Su Yan. Its injuries were quite serious. Its true phoenix body was bleeding, and it was panting heavily. Boom! Su Yan had arrived. He immediately used his thunderous methods. His aura was terrifying. It covered the sky. He was like a supreme golden immortal who had crossed the river of time and space. His figure flashed through time and space as he attacked the dark creatures. So strong. Is Su Yan also a golden immortal? Iron Rooster was shocked. He was also surprised. If that's the case, the Xian people's #1 supreme being is so arrogant. Ha ha ha. Su Yan's aura was too powerful. His terrifying figure shook. The boundless light of essence blood formed a raging sea that drowned the space. The dark creatures with the sinister aura could not bear it. They felt their bodies were about to burn. Huge energy ripples were generated in this area. It was boiling and howling. From the beginning to the end of the battle, it only took 10 breaths. The dark creatures were killed by Su Yan. No matter how they struggled, they were extremely dim in front of a golden immortal. This is really an invincible realm. No wonder the Xian people are so arrogant. Iron Rooster's face was serious. He did not know if there were other golden immortal experts in the top 100 list. In short, this realm was like a dream. It had the combat power of a true immortal. Once they encountered each other, it would be a fierce battle. Let's go. Su Yan did not stop. He rushed to the other battlefields. Fortunately, he had the Celestial Court's secret order. He could find them quickly. Along the way, Su Yan encountered a top 100 expert. However, he was not attacked by any dark creatures. This made Su Yan feel slightly relieved. It seemed that the dark creatures that survived the universe's black hole were limited. Even if they were still alive, they would be suppressed by the Emperor Road's rules. They could not unleash their peak combat power. Along the way, they encountered a few more corpses. They did not know how many of the top 100 Sky Prides had fallen. In short, the outside world was in a constant storm. News of the death of the Supreme Sect's successors had spread back. This matter caused a huge commotion. The orthodoxies and clans of the fallen Sky Prides were furious. They wanted an explanation. Flaming Emperor was furious. Why did they have to go to the Celestial Court when something happened? Why didn't they sing praises of the Emperor Road when it had benefited the world? Bastards. If I could control the Emperor Road, I wouldn't have let them in. All of them, get out. Azure Dragon was furious. The outside world was in a great storm. The Golden Turtle progenitor had formed a group of people and was ready to stir up trouble. Although they had a prior agreement, who could sit still when it concerned the inheritance of the clans? They want to form an alliance and besiege the Black-Yellow universe. These clowns. I really want to kill them all. Azure Dragon was furious. 1,000,000 years ago, the Black-Yellow universe was attacked by the dark creatures. The celestial domain's spacetime was severely damaged. A large number of top powerhouses died. This was the pain of the clans. Then, the Cien people were attacked from both sides. A series of clans joined forces and attacked the Black-Yellow universe. That was a bloody catastrophe for the clans. Although the Celestial Court survived, the clans suffered heavy casualties. Their vitality was greatly damaged, and they were in danger of being wiped out at any time. 1,000,000 years had passed, and the Celestial Court's condition gradually improved. There was also a prehistoric Big Brother holding the fort. However, they wanted to do it again. Some of them were restless and wanted to join in the fun. They wanted to plunder the treasures left behind by the ancient Celestial Court. Azure Dragon roared. There would be another war in the future. That was because the grudges from 1,000,000 years ago would be settled sooner or later. Yen Emperor's face was solemn. He was not worried that they would join forces. No one knew what was going on in the Emperor Road. The successors of the great sects had died one after another. 9 of them had died. The situation was getting worse. In fact, many old monsters from the clans could not sit still anymore. It had been 10 days and 10 nights, and there was no news or information from the universe's black hole. Even the Emperor ranking did not appear again. This was a serious problem. In the past, there would be images of the ultimate war every 1 or 2 days. However, it had been so many days. Could it be that all the experts on the Emperor ranking were in trouble? If the casualties continued, the entire undying celestial domain would be in chaos. They are very far away from us. Could they have gone to the ultimate battlefield? I don't know. Let's hurry over. We've already wasted a lot of time. Su Yen and the others moved quickly. They did not encounter any dark creatures along the way. They crossed through this ruined world. The deeper they went, the fewer ruins there were. Soon, Su Yen sensed a strong aura of time. It was as if they had arrived at the end of the universe. It seems like we're here. Su Yan's heart trembled. He felt that they had arrived at their destination. Looking at the vast mountains and rivers, this place was filled with vitality. There was even a hint of divine aura. The deeper they went, the more Su Yen felt that the heaven and earth here were extraordinary. Suddenly, he felt as if he had arrived at the core of the universe. Su Yen caught a rare heavenly treasure in the outside world, the dragon light shooting bull fighting ruins. Su Yen had never seen such a unique terrain. It was filled with mythical colors. The world was filled with spiritual chi, and there was also a pure immortal aura. We've arrived at our destination. The miser was excited. The strongest place of fortune in the Emperor Road could also be called the strongest place of fortune in the universe. This was the legendary world. The heavenly treasure, pure spiritual chi, and purple chi filled the air. It was an auspicious place. It was as if they had arrived at the immortal world from hell previously. The yin chi was bone-piercing. Now, they felt comfortable and warm. We've finally arrived at the Emperor Road's end. It was really a narrow escape. We almost died in the outside world. Another group of people rushed over. It was obvious that they had encountered dark creatures and barely escaped with their lives. The creatures in the dark seemed to be extremely wary of the Emperor Road's end. They did not follow them here. Su Yen and the others had already charged into the depth. It was as if they had stepped into a brand new great world. The shocking formation that greeted them caused Su Yen to suck in a breath of cold air. After all, he was a grandmaster of the occult arts. His horizons were too profound. This was a place of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Legendary treasures could be seen everywhere. The essence of heaven and earth and the mysteries of the Great Path were hidden here. It had existed for countless years. Su Yan was overwhelmed with emotions. This was truly a holy land for cultivation. He could already see people groping around the treasure trove. They were preparing to enter and cultivate. One should know that anyone could enter these supreme treasure troves to cultivate and further their studies. It would take a long time, of course. This was only the outer region. The deeper regions were where the great fortunes gathered. What kind of terrain is that? It's giving birth to Mother Qi. This is unheard of. Su Yan's emotions were stirred. He saw a huge mountain in the middle of the supreme terrain. It was as if it was a place of Tao and sainthood. The ancient mountain was glowing. There was Mother Qi flowing within, accompanied by a vast saintly aura. The miser was about to go insane. Wasn't this a little too rich and imposing? This was the strongest treasure trove. With Mother Qi leaking out, even a supreme being would go crazy over it. Chapter 1698. The sacred mountain was majestic and had an ancient aura. It stood tall in the Emperor Road's final destination. The sacred mountain was quite peculiar and dreamy. There were traces of source qi flowing around it. Although it was very thin, anyone could see how terrifying the sacred mountain was. It contained the essence of heaven and earth. No one knew what special reasons it went through to form it, turning it into a divine treasure land. Even if this thing fell into Daozu's hands, it could be directly refined into a super-killing weapon. Of course, no one would be willing to sacrifice such a thing to turn it into a treasure. This is the legendary Source Qi Cave of Heaven and Earth. Someone exclaimed. Many experts had already made it here. Some of them were severely injured. It was obvious that they had been ambushed by dark creatures and barely survived. The layout of this peerless land of fortune. The topography was one after another, shocking everyone's eyes. According to their understanding of the Emperor Road, they could freely use the topography of the outer boundary to enjoy the baptism of fortune. Of course, there was a problem. Once they chose to enter the land of fortune, they would lose the chance to compete for the top 10. In fact, even the land of fortune in the outer boundary was very rare among the strongest immortal orthodoxies. It was also a land of supreme resources that would not be opened even once in an era. One had to admit that the Emperor Road was terrifying. The value of this land of fortune was too shocking. The strongest inheritors of any immortal orthodoxy could not sit still. Their eyes were burning with fire because there were several golden immortal caves. Of course, these were secondary. The most important thing was the sacred mountain. There was more than one sacred mountain here. When Su Yan approached to take a look, he suddenly inhaled a breath of cold air. Only the top 10 overlords were qualified to use the sacred mountain. As long as one could stand on it, they would be able to receive the baptism of fortune from the sacred mountain. For example, the Source Qi Cave of Heaven and Earth. If it was placed in the outer universe dimension, it would not be able to form for a long time. It could be said that there was only one such land of fortune in the entire universe. One could imagine how shocking it was to the experts. This was also something that only the top 10 could enjoy. Could this be the land of fortune for Daozu? Su Yan's eyes widened as he gazed at an enormous sacred mountain that towered into space outside the realm. It was glowing, dazzling, and resplendent, and the deafening sound of the grand Tao exploded from within. There were also supreme great Tao imprints that were innately nurtured by the heavens that densely covered the mountain, causing this sacred mountain to be particularly astonishing. Many people were envious, and some of Daozu's children were no exception. Before they came, the family's powerhouses had told them that there was a sacred mountain that could harvest Daozu's good fortune. A holy mountain that nurtures gods and devils. Su Yan was astonished. He saw another terrifying sacred mountain that spewed out the light of 3,000 gods and devils. There were naturally formed imprints of the great Tao of gods and devils on the mountain. It was as if he saw 3,000 gods and devils attacking the universe. What a great fortune! It will definitely belong to me. An expert let out a low roar. The aura of a god and devil was abundant. This was an almost extinct physique, a generation's god and devil tyrant body. One had to know that this was Daozu's son, and he had a great background. He was also the strongest descendant of the primal Chaos Grotto Heaven, and he was determined to become one of the top 10 contenders. Dragon Mountain, Phoenix Mountain, the miser exclaimed. He saw 2 Daesong mountains. One was like an ancient ancestral dragon, and the other was like an immemorial immortal phoenix. They stood side by side. These were 2 Daesong mountains that spewed out ancestral dragon chi and immortal phoenix chi. It was shocking. Heaven and Earth Qianquan Mountain, Su Yan saw a unique terrain. It was as if he had seen the universe. It was incomparably grand, and it was as if the universe was condensed and shining. At this time, Su Yan felt a cold gaze staring at him. His eyes looked up and saw a man in robes whiter than snow. He was lofty and lofty, walking over step by step. Heaven, earth, rivers, and mountains rumbled with him. The moment his feet touched the ground, the sound that was transmitted was like the pulse of heaven and earth trembling. Gradually, this person's aura became more and more terrifying and powerful. In the end, it was as if he had ascended to the peak of the universe and was looking down on all life in the universe. Mystic 9 Escape Techniques. I've been looking forward to it for a long time. He stared at Su Yan and spoke. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. He had the ambition to devour the world, and the void trembled. The Heaven and Earth Qianquan body of the Heaven and Earth sect. The miser sneered. Su Yan had killed the little golden turtle saint. If the successor of the Heaven and Earth sect knew that Su Yan was a golden immortal, their faces would probably turn green. One should know that when Su Yan fought the little golden turtle saint, he was not a golden immortal. After the battle in the Emperor Road Arena, Su Yan's strength had undergone a terrifying transformation. I've been looking forward to your head for a long time too? Su Yan replied coldly. The Heaven and Earth Qianquan Mountain did not change his expression. He said coldly, let's see how long you can laugh. This is the most powerful place in Emperor Road. Although the Celestial Court has obtained 11 spots in the top 100, here, you can't win by numbers alone. Now, the ultimate battle had not started yet. It would only start when everyone was present. Do you think you're qualified to compete? Su Yan replied. Whether I'm qualified or not, won't you know once you try? The successor of the Heaven and Earth Qianquan Mountain was very arrogant. He looked down at Su Yan from above, and a shocking aura loomed behind him. His Heaven and Earth Qianquan Mountain was very powerful, and he believed that in this special place, he would be able to unleash even more terrifying combat power. What's the rush? Su Yan stared at him and said, will you be convinced when this place opens? Why are you scared? I don't dare anymore. The Heaven and Earth Qianquan Mountain sneered, and his aura became aggressive. He shouted, have you mastered the 9 mystical escape techniques? Let me have a look. I'm afraid I'll accidentally kill you. Su Yan snorted. Why, is the Heaven and Earth Qianquan Mountain the ancestor of the Heaven and Earth Qianquan Mountain? Why don't you show me a move and let me see how powerful the 9 escape techniques are? I'd like to see it. I'm afraid you can't take it, so I'll just attack. Why waste time talking? Or are you afraid, or are you waiting for your teammates to come? The successor of the Heaven and Earth Qianquan Mountain's face turned cold. This sentence had poked at his clan's sore spot. His clan did not have the 9 mystical escape techniques, but Su Yan had mastered them. The miser frowned. Why was Su Yan avoiding the battle? If he was as fierce as before, he would have directly destroyed the Heaven and Earth Qianquan Mountain. Then, he realized that Su Yan must have done it on purpose. The fact that he was a golden immortal could not be hidden for too long. Once it was revealed, who would dare to compete with this ruthless person? Below the golden immortal realm, it was the sorrow of the world's geniuses. Who could compete with him? What does it have to do with you? If you want to fight, just do it, Su Yen replied. He was indeed showing weakness. There would be many enemies in the future, and he had to get rid of one or two of them. He was not worried about himself, but that Yuan and the others would be attacked by powerful enemies. In short, there were 3 places on the Emperor board. He had to ensure that nothing would go wrong. There were more than 20 of Daozu's sons in the top 100. This number was too frightening. No one would let their guard down, not to mention the Reincarnation Mountains people. He's afraid. Those below the golden immortal realm are probably under a lot of pressure. The chaotic Overlord physique came and said this. The Heaven and Earth Qianquan Mountain also said coldly, "It's a pity that the ultimate land has not opened yet. Even if we fight, we won't be able to kill Su Yen. It's okay, we can wait until the Land of Fortune opens to take his head." Was there any suspense? The strongest successors of more than 10 ancient orthodoxies were gathered here. Who could resist their alliance? Moreover, the Heaven and Earth Qianquan Mountains people disdained to form an alliance. As the son of the primogenitor, they all had the belief of being invincible. Su Yen had been paying attention to the 10th Daesong Mountain. Of course, his focus was not on the 10th Daesong Mountain. The sacred mountain's fortune was already shocking enough. However, Su Yen vaguely felt that the 10th Daesong Mountain seemed to be surrounding something. The core area was hazy, and he could not see what was going on. Su Yen felt that there was something inside, or rather, there was a heaven-defying Tao field. This was Su Yan's intuition, and he even vaguely felt a sense of closeness. Why do I have such a strange feeling? Su Yen frowned. It was a pity that he could not see what was going on inside. The 10th Daesong Mountain was the land of fortune for the top 10 on the Emperor board. It could only be obtained by fighting for supremacy. Could it be that the mysterious land of fortune in the core area could only be opened by the supreme of the Emperor board? If that was the case, then what kind of heaven-defying land of fortune was it? The Heaven and Earth Source Chi Cave was already a heaven-defying land of fortune. Could there really be a land of fortune even more ridiculous than the Heaven and Earth Source Chi Cave? At this moment, Yuan and the others gathered. The terrain was huge, and they looked at the 10th Daesong Mountain. They all had a target. None of you encountered it? Su Yen was shocked. Long Daesong and the others were too lucky. I encountered it and killed it directly. Fairy Xia's words were shocking. They were hunted by dark creatures, and even encountered a companion who died tragically along the way. Yuan's expression turned serious. Another dark disaster. Then, the Emperor Road in the Xianwang universe millions of years ago was the source of the dark disaster, right? Fan Jian still could not forget the scene inside the 4 sacred sword realm. A sword cut an era, split the river of eras, and cut off the invasion of dark matter. Then, under the Emperor Road, there might be a large amount of demonic fog buried. It was the ancient Celestial Court's Celestial Emperor who reshaped the spacetime of the burial ground to form the current Emperor Road. At this moment, Su Yen asked Fairy Xia. Her master was the mysterious skeleton, a prehistoric giant. It was very likely that he knew about the human world. I really don't know about this. Fairy Xia frowned and said, Master taught me swordsmanship, but did not mention a word about the universe's structure. It seems that my cultivation is too weak to understand the universe's structure. Su Yen had doubts in his heart. The other end of the darkness must be connected to another universe dimension. Then, besides the other end of the dark disaster, were there other universe dimensions in the world? Where had the ancient celestial emperor, who had created the Emperor's Road, gone? Would such a terrifying person fall? If he was still alive, why didn't he return? With his strength, He should know what happened to the Xianhuang universe. Su Yan's soul suddenly tensed up as he felt a great pressure on him. He did not dare to continue thinking. No matter how the future changed, as long as he was strong enough, he could suppress all disasters. It's about to open. Suddenly, the ancient world began to tremble. Someone saw the emperor ranking descending and exclaimed, "How can this be? There are only 87 of the top 100 on the emperor ranking. Where did the other 13 go?" The person who spoke did not encounter the dark creature's attack. Those who were lucky enough to survive spread the news, causing panic. 13 of them had died. The top 100 had not begun, and 13 had already died. Some people trembled. They died just like that, but they were all experts of the same level. They could not help but panic. What's there to be surprised about if they died because of bad luck? The universal physique of heaven and earth was very calm. He said coldly, "The battlefield has begun and the top 10 is here. Isn't it time to settle some big things?" The experts gathered here, and the overlords were in the sky. Everyone knew about the grudges between the two camps. If they did not make a move, the others did not plan to make a move immediately. "What are you trying to say?" Baokai looked askance at the mysterious sky sect's successor. This kid was jumping up and down, trying to stir up trouble. The universal physique of heaven and earth said coldly, "The celestial court wants 3 spots. I think it's a bit too much. 10 Daesong Mountains can only hold 10 people. I believe the experts of the major sects will not give up the spots. Isn't my meaning clear enough?" "You're bragging." Baokai grinned. "You're talking as if you've gotten a spot. Are you qualified to talk to me?" Trash. The universal physique of heaven and earth did not even look at Tai Baokai. He waved at Su Yan and said, "You're the strongest in the celestial court. Tell me, how should we settle this? I'm really worried that our camp will bully you too much. If we really fight, the younger generation of the celestial court will all die. What do you think we should do?" Baokai was so angry that his nostrils were spewing out dragon light trash. Su Yan strode forward and said coldly, "In my eyes, you're not even trash. How dare you?" The universal physique of heaven and earth was furious. His whole body's energy surged, and wind and thunder roared. He said, "You're so arrogant. I think the celestial court will really be wiped out. I'll start with you." Baokai was instantly amused. He already knew that Su Yan had become a golden immortal. This kid could not hold back and jumped out. Was he trying to kill him? The reincarnation body and the others did not speak. They did not expect the universal physique of heaven and earth to be the first to stand out. The first paragon of the Xian people was very quiet. He stood high and stared at the area surrounded by the 10 Daesong Mountains. He seemed to have caught something. Chapter 1699. The strongest descendant of the mysterious heaven sect was very powerful. After all, he had the worldly cosmos body. His entire flesh shell shone, and boundless divine might extended outwards. If one observed carefully, it was as if a flourishing world was opening. Terrifying radiance surged, and vast divine force of the universe was being released. It was as if the world was collapsing. This was Daozu's son. Who would dare to underestimate him? Although Su Yan had killed the little golden turtle saint, any Daozu's son had invincible battle strength. If they really fought, who knew what would happen? I wonder how strong the young Devil King is. The atmosphere here was oppressive. The experts gathered here began to pay attention to Su Yan and the descendant of the mysterious heaven sect. Someone whispered, "It seems like they're preparing to settle their grudges early. It's almost impossible for the celestial court to get 3 spots." Everyone knew how strong the young Devil King was, but don't forget that there was still a golden immortal. Under such circumstances, the celestial court's chances of winning were too low. Of course, even without a golden immortal, the celestial court's chances of winning were not high. "What are you all waiting for?" The worldly cosmos body said coldly. "Leave the young Devil King to me. The others are yours. The Celestial Court wants to get 3 spot. I think we should just end the battle and let the Celestial Court give up early. Without a doubt, he wanted to unite the experts and crush the Celestial Court's experts in one go. Daozu's son, so what? Su Yan said coldly. You want to kill all of us? You really think you're something? Don't compare us to some trash. The descendant of the mysterious heaven sect's eyes were like lightning, and his killing intent was incomparably strong. He shouted, "The Celestial Court is no longer the Celestial Court of the past. So what if we kill you all? What can the people behind you say?" I've said it before. In my eyes, you're not even comparable to trash. Su Yan replied domineeringly. Young Devil King, you're the first to die. The heaven and earth universal body could no longer hold back. A huge explosion of energy occurred in this area. Sand and stones flew everywhere, and runes covered the area densely. Moreover, they carried with them a terrifying radiance. It was as if a condensed world of the universe was rapidly expanding. Boom! In the end, the entire spacetime rumbled. The heaven and earth universal physique's most powerful state erupted. Suddenly, the mysterious heaven sect's inheritor seemed to have become one with this exceptional precious land, erupting with boundless divine power. As expected of the successor of the mysterious heaven sect, some of the spectators were shocked. The universal physique of heaven and earth had a very big foundation. It was the transcendent level of the strange gate lineage. In a powerful environment, it could reverse the battle prowess and obtain unimaginable battle prowess. In an instant, the mysterious sky sect's successor's aura surged by a large margin, and it was practically approaching the grand heavenly realm. The magic energy in his body was like an ocean, and it was accompanied by the convergence of the grand momentum of the world, forming a layout that could destroy the world. What kind of boundless divine power was this? Some of the experts in the top 100 were scared. Under the suppression of such a layout, how many people could withstand it? Young Devil King, bring out your strongest battle prowess. I really want to know which is stronger, the 9 mystical gates escape technique or my universal physique of heaven and earth. I hope you won't disappoint me. The moment the mysterious heaven sect's successor's energy resonated, the world lost its color, the mountains trembled, and the whole world darkened. Accompanied by the formation of a super-powerful layout of heaven and earth, the suppression was on the verge of collapse. Everyone was shocked. This physique was indeed heaven-defying. In a special environment, it could display extraordinary battle prowess. His physical body was like a condensed world of the universe blooming, and accompanied by the pressure of the universe, it suppressed Su Yan. Boom! In the next moment, the whole place was in an uproar. They saw the monarch ranking fill the sky and begin to reflect the figure of the universal physique of heaven and earth. Without a doubt, the strongest successor of the mysterious heaven sect was strong enough. The monarch ranking was reflecting his majestic battle prowess, and it was also displaying it on the Emperor Road. His brilliance attracted the attention of all the experts in the world. As expected of the Daozu bloodline, some experts were speechless, and were considering whether to give up on the competition for the top 10. After all, this place was occupied by the bloodlines of various powerhouses. Perhaps, even the children of these powerhouses would wither away in large numbers. The cruel reality forced them to admit it. However, the fortune of the 10 Daesong Mountains was right in front of them. Who would be willing to give up? Quick, look! At the same time, the undying heavenly domain, which was filled with fear, was shaken. At the 10,000 entrances of the space-time tunnels, the experts of the older generation who were entrenched in various places were greatly energized. They saw the monarch ranking's reflection on the Emperor Road, projecting the image of the Emperor Road's final destination. Heavens, it's the successor of our clan's primogenitor's bloodline. Everyone in the mysterious heaven sect was overjoyed when they saw the worldly Qiankuan physique unleashing his power. Moreover, the monarch ranking's reflection made them cheer. Some even laughed and said, "The strongest successor of our clan, ha ha." The image also dissipated the fear in the undying heavenly domain. Without a doubt, the Emperor Road's final battle had begun. Although more than 10 of them had died, it was not as bad as they had imagined. Our clan's worldly Qianquan physique is fighting against the young Devil King. An old ancestor of the mysterious Heaven sect said coldly, "I'm really looking forward to it. He's the strongest successor of our clan, the first generation of our ancestors' bloodline. Especially in the Emperor Road's final destination, he'll be able to unleash extremely powerful combat prowess. I believe he won't be any weaker than a golden immortal." No one would underestimate a golden immortal expert. Everyone in the world was watching the worldly Qianquan physique as he charged towards the young Devil King. Boom! In the stormy world, the strongest successor of the mysterious Heaven sect was incomparably domineering. The power of the universe howled, covering the sky and the earth. Su Yan appeared to be a little weak, and his body was a little thin. "Is it going to end?" the chaotic Overlord physique said softly. His cold eyes were like knives as he stared at Su Yan. He said, "If it weren't for our reputation, we would have teamed up to tear the young Devil King into pieces." They had great backgrounds, and their words and actions were enough to represent the entire immortal orthodoxy. Teaming up to suppress the young Devil King was something they could not do. It would be embarrassing. Of course, there was another important reason. Each of them had the belief of being invincible. Suppress. The worldly Qianquan physique stood at the peak of its era. It had already pushed the worldly Qianquan physique, and together with its ancient physique, it evolved a suppression pattern that completely covered Su Yan. In an instant, Su Yan encountered a great pressure. It was as if he was carrying the ancient star sea on his back, and his entire body was about to collapse. No one could ignore Daozu's son. Yuan and the others had solemn expressions. Watching the battle from a close distance, they could see how terrifying and transcendent this kind of person was. Su Yan did not make a move because he wanted to let Tai Baokai and the others see clearly how powerful the peak combat power of a true immortal was. In fact, Saint Little Golden Turtle and the others had already reached the limit and the pinnacle. It would be difficult to kill them. Unless Su Yan was also a golden immortal in the world that continued to boil, the onlookers were shocked. Su Yan was unharmed. No matter how many worldly laws pressed on his body, he was still unharmed. "Look!" Jin Tiangang growled as he saw Su Xianren explode. At the same time, the silent first paragon of the Xian people shot out a cold light from his cold eyes. Almost instantly, his gaze fell on Su Yan. But it was too late for him to stop it. "Roar!" Su Yan roared at the sky. His long black hair danced. His body that carried the ancient star sea on his back instantly became extremely terrifying. Boom! Heaven and earth exploded. The sun and moon sank. It was a soul-stirring scene, as if an invincible king had returned from his slumber. Heaven and earth trembled, and even the worldly laws collapsed. Shocking, too shocking! The strongest successor of the mysterious sky sect felt his scalp tingle. His heart was filled with fear. His worldly laws were being beaten up again. To be more precise, it was being attacked by a supreme golden immortal. There was nothing to say. Once this kind of person awakened, they would defy the heavens and earth and shock the god. Just the power of their bodies alone shook the world and sent a group of people flying. The chi and blood in their bodies trembled. They were terrified. What was this? They were all in the top 100 of the monarch ranking, but they could not withstand Su Yan's aura leaking out. Was this a supreme immortal devil? The awakening of the ultimate sublimation shook the universe. His chi and blood surged into the sky. He was majestic. Boom! He waved his fist. With the sound of thunder from the 9 heavens, he shattered the worldly laws. "Kill!" Su Yan roared. He had been holding back for a long time. In the end, he unleashed his most invincible power. It was wild and domineering, and it contained the Kuan Peng's divine ability. He attacked just like that. No, brother, save me, the strongest successor of the mysterious Sky sect was terrified. Goosebumps rose all over his body, and his hair stood on end. He was truly frightened. He wanted to immediately activate his bloodline power to increase his battle prowess and allow himself to stand in the invincible domain. But he did not have the chance. Su Yan's movements were too fast. From the awakening to the eruption to the attack, it was all done in an instant. Some people could not even keep up with it. They only felt that the worldly immortal furnace was enough to destroy the world. Who would have thought that Su Yan could possess the power of a grand immortal in such a short time? Boom! A bloody punch blasted through the chest of the worldly laws, penetrating his flesh shell and creating a bloody hole. His entire body was pierced through like lightning. One could only imagine how cruel the blow was. Moreover, the Kuan Peng's power extended, evolving into billions of mansion runes. It steamed Su Yan's golden immortal power, and quickly spread to the entire body of the strongest successor of the mysterious Sky sect. Ah! He let out a heart-wrenching roar. He felt as if his entire body was about to explode. Even the vitality in his body was wiped out completely. He was in despair. He had never felt such despair before. It was too fierce. A punch blasted through his flesh shell and destroyed the vitality in his body. His body was exploding, and all the bones in his body were broken. He did not even have the time to recover his foundation. He was directly killed by Su Yan, and his body exploded. Then, a foot descended from the sky. It was like the sole ruler of the Emperor's Road. It stepped on the body of the worldly laws, and along with a terrifying sealing power, it destroyed all hope of his foundation recovery. The strongest successor of the mysterious Sky sect is only SOSO. You're not even comparable to a turtle. Su Yan lowered his head and looked down at him. The aura of an expert surged and shook the universe. It was like an emperor's star that was slowly rising, illuminating the Emperor's Road. Chapter 1700. His roar was like thunder, and his killing intent surged. A string of bloody light bloomed, dyeing the void red. It was a terrifying figure, whose aura engulfed the world in a short period of time. He unleashed an unparalleled combat strength and attacked Daozu's son, the strongest descendant of the strange heaven sect. The battle had started very quickly, but it had also ended very quickly. When the curtains fell, the king-level experts present could only tremble, unable to utter a single word. The gory scene shook the entire world. The entire Emperor Road fell silent without a single sound. Suppression, endless suppression, made them feel suffocated. Everyone in the universe stared at the scene on the Emperor ranking with trembling eyes. Each of them was terrified from the bottom of their hearts. Whether it was Daozu's son or the descendant of the strongest sect, all of them were stunned and almost turned into stone. The Emperor ranking final contest had just started. They thought that they could watch the most powerful battle through the Emperor ranking, but the bloody scene was now frozen in their hearts. They could not believe it. The Grand Saintess and the others were shocked and found it ridiculous. The Emperor Road contest was really going to end. This was not a battle that belonged to them, and it was not at their level. Reality was cruel. With the birth of a golden immortal, the lives of all the sky prides in the world were as cheap as paper. It had become a cruel reality. How is this possible? Countless people trembled. This was the son of a Tao ancestor, and also an extremely ancient physique, the heaven and earth universe body. But now, his body had been punched through by the young Devil King's fist and even trampled beneath his feet. Everyone in the world went crazy. Was this an immortal devil or a supreme god? How could his combat strength be so terrifying? In fact, they thought that the young Devil King was a grand heavenly expert, and he was not a true immortal. Impossible! Everyone in the strange heaven sect roared. A group of old ancestors was so angry that their lungs were about to explode. They shouted, "Cheating, this is cheating. The young Devil King is a grand heavenly expert, and he is not a true immortal. The Emperor Road is cheating." "Young master," many old monsters in the strange heaven sect roared. Their eyes were red, and they were so angry that their eyes were about to pop out. This punch was like a punch to their ancestral court, and the entire strange heaven sect was humiliated. What was this? The strongest descendant of their clan was killed by Su Yen with a single punch. Roar! Even the progenitor of the mysterious heaven sect let out a deep roar. The entire continent began to tremble as a boundless murderous intent surged out and caused a storm to break out. Golden Immortal, at the 10,000 spacetime entrances, the old experts of the various great sects were all stunned. This was a Golden Immortal, the second legendary Golden Immortal. The young Devil King of the Celestial Court was a legendary Golden Immortal expert. All sects were shaken, and the entire world trembled. This was a terrifying storm that rocked the entire immortal heavenly domain. The legendary Golden Immortal had once again appeared, belonging to the Celestial Court, Su Yen. Ha 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 ha! In the Yen Emperor's ancestral land, the Azure Dragon roared. His eyes were brimming with tears. With Su Yen supporting the younger generation, the greatest crisis in the Emperor Road battlefield had been resolved. This shocking scene swept across the world in an extremely short period of time. The Celestial Court seemed to have returned, blooming with its former glory and wonder. Countless people stared at Su Yen, who was standing on the Emperor ranking with the universal body. They were shocked and impressed from the bottom of their hearts. This was because they felt that Su Yen had just broken through recently. It was very likely that he had stepped into the peak of the true immortal realm and touched upon the legendary realm. A blood-curdling scream sent chills down the spines of the chaotic Overlord body and the others. They recovered from the shock and saw the universal body crying out miserably as its broken body broke apart. Su Yen stood between heaven and earth. His long black hair draped over his shoulders, and his eyes emitted a cold light. There were no tricks. It was a complete suppression. He broke the flesh shell of a giant. It was as if he was standing on top of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood, looking down on everyone. No. The strongest descendant of the mysterious heaven sect screamed. He was not completely dead yet. His primordial spirit connected with his broken body to unleash a series of trump cards. However, he soon realized that the power of the Golden Immortal had suppressed everything and sealed all his moves. No. He roared in grief. His eyes were wide open and tears of blood flowed out. This was not only physical and mental pain, but also a trampling on his dignity. It was a great humiliation to the immortal orthodoxy. No. He roared in grief. Until now, he still could not believe what had happened to him. He also could not believe that Su Yen had stepped into the golden immortal realm. Boom. Su Yan's domineering aura was overwhelming. He punched down, swallowing 100,000 miles. Dong. This punch exploded with a thunderous sound. It blew up the entire head of the universal body. Blood splattered tens of thousands of feet and dyed the sky red. The universal body was directly blown up. His broken body also exploded. Even his primordial spirit could not withstand it and exploded into a pile of ashes in the void. A terrifying and ferocious aura spread out and swept through the surroundings. It created a situation that could destroy the heavens and the earth, and it intimidated all the experts. A large number of young kings retreated explosively, and some didn't even dare to look directly at Su Yen. At this moment, it did not matter if you were an overlord or Daozu's son, you could only despair in your heart. In a world where golden immortals were everywhere, the lives of the world's geniuses were as cheap as paper. It was truly a cruel reality. Of course, if the universal body did not look down on Su Yen, he would not have fallen into such a tragic situation. Dong! Su Yen stepped forward. His belief was unrivaled. Who could contend against him? The enemies who shocked the world trembled. Even Daozu's son was shocked from the bottom of his heart. This was a golden immortal powerhouse. Once he fought head-on, he would most likely suffer the same fate as the universal body. However, there were a few people who did not believe it. The reincarnated body's expressions were cold. They really did not believe that a golden immortal could crush everything. There had to be a way to restrain it. Interesting. In an instant, the number one supreme being of the Xian people came. He looked at Su Yen with cold eyes and said, "I don't feel the fluctuation of the other gas. Is it really not on you?" Yong Qiuling and the others were surprised. What did he mean? Su Yen looked at the number one supreme being of the Xian people and said indifferently, "I didn't expect you to be able to escape from the universal divine furnace. Come, it's time to settle our grudges." Ha ha ha. The number one supreme being of the Xian people looked up to the sky and laughed. With a touch of terrifying demonic nature and the supreme might of a golden immortal, he poured down majestically and filled the vast battlefield world. On the ultimate battlefield, the top 100 existences were extremely depressed. They could capture the terror of the number one supreme being of the Xian people. He was also a golden immortal. Then, there would be a life and death battle between two golden immortals. Golden immortals were rare, but there were no records of two golden immortals encountering each other in the ancient books. If they really fought, it would be recorded in ancient history and passed down for thousands of generations. It was a supreme glory in itself. However, if one of them fell, it was destined to be a tragedy for eternity. "What are you laughing at?" Su Yen asked. "How are you going to fight me without that substance?" The number one supreme being of the Xian people looked down at Su Yen like a dark king who ruled the world. He shouted, "Although you're also a golden immortal, you're still unlucky to have met me. How do you want to die? I can fulfill your wish." "You're really confident." Su Yan's long black hair danced in the wind. Cold lightning shot out from his eyes as he shouted, "Haven't the Xian people bled enough? Your race is still so arrogant. Now that you're the only one left, why don't I kill you to my heart's content?" "Su Yen, who are you insulting?" The king of the Xian people was furious. He was already in a bad mood because one of his race's kings had fallen. Now that Su Yen was also a golden immortal, this made the Xian people's king feel even worse. "Leave this kid to me later. I'll kill him as soon as possible." Bao Kai stared at the Xian people's king and said to the others, "Let's be careful. The key to this battle is the battle between the golden immortals. Let's try our best to surround the battlefield and not let other factors interfere with the battle between Su Yen and that black kid. The celestial court must win this battle beautifully and convince everyone in the world." Yuan shouted coldly. The appearance of a golden immortal in this age of prosperity had already made all the prodigies in the world give up on the idea of becoming the supreme being of the monarch rankings. Now that two golden immortals were in the sky, everyone knew that if they did not fight to the death, the ultimate battlefield would not be peaceful. "Su Yen, come and die." The number one supreme being of the Xian people exploded. His figure flashed across the sky. In an instant, darkness covered the sun and surged like a tide. It was as if a vast darkness was born and was going to crash down on the entire sky. That's really scary. The existences in the top 100 were terrified. How invincible was this? It was as if the god of war had descended to the mortal world with a tide of darkness on his back. It drowned this battlefield and formed a scene of time and space collapsing. The boundless earth was also trembling. This was Su Yen rising into the sky and awakening his most terrifying combat power. The clash of the pinnacle was about to happen. Boom! In an instant, a loud sound rumbled and roared, almost tearing people's eardrums. The atmosphere here was violent to the extreme. At the same time, two shocking figures appeared on the monarch rankings. One was like a devil lord who ruled over the darkness, the other was like a god of war who controlled the world. Before they collided, the sound of the collision like a tsunami exploded and shook the universe. This solid ancient land trembled as a terrifying aura storm surged. Two golden immortals, the outside world was shocked. The most terrifying battle had refreshed the world's understanding and was enough to rewrite the combat power limit rankings. They encountered each other and fought along the way. It was like two cosmic comets colliding, setting off stormy waves. The void where they collided also exploded. In this short period of time, they fought fiercely as they moved. It was hard to tell how many times they had collided. In short, the world flickered between brightness and darkness. Moreover, it was a scene of devastation. The heavens were densely covered with countless pitch-black cracks. The boundless earth began to tremble as a terrifying storm was stirred up. It bombarded all directions and engulfed the world. The aura of the Sien people's #1 supreme being changed in an instant. An unparalleled great ferocious beast with peerless strength descended into the world. It was vast and boundless, and millions of ferocious chi enveloped his body. Su Yen, come forth and accept your death. The roar split open the heavens. It was as if a white tiger that had been imprisoned for eternity had descended into the world. Its killing power was terrifying and overflowing. An unparalleled great Abhijna appeared. The Sien people's supreme being and the white tiger merged. They could destroy the world with a raise of their hand. What a terrifying killing power! The supreme beings of the same generation were all terrified. The boundless killing intent stimulated their chi and blood to surge and their bodies to stiffen. They suddenly felt as if they had seen the world's most terrifying ferocious beast tearing its enemies apart. It was extremely brutal. Su Yen used the Kuan Peng's great Abhijna and charged toward the Sien people's #1 supreme being. Boom! The two great experts clashed. In the world where gods and devils danced wildly, all kinds of shocking killing lights were emitted. They illuminated the universe, rivers, and mountains. A shocking scene of two great ferocious beasts clashing appeared between heaven and earth. Kill! The two experts roared. In the destructive space and time, they clashed with each other. They're bleeding. Are they going to fight to the death? Someone cried out in horror. They didn't know how strong a golden immortal was, but this battle was too frightening. They could easily pierce through the heavens and shatter the earth. The two experts were both in the sublimation of the extreme realm. It was very likely that they would fight to the death in a short period of time. Is Su Yen going to be defeated? In the outside world, the Sien people sneered. They didn't think that Su Yen could stop the Sien people's #1 supreme being. There's more at night. Chapter 1701. A long trail of blood splattered out like a blood diamond, tearing through the void. The hearts of the experts trembled. If a golden immortal died in battle, it would be a huge matter. The battle had just begun, and Su Yen seemed to have suffered heavy injuries. His body trembled violently, and the Kuan Peng protecting his body exploded. Someone pounced on the white tiger, and its claws reached down and struck Su Yan's shoulder. It was a terrifying attack. A hideous wound was torn open on Su Yan's shoulder, and the white bone was visible. Of course, this also reflected the strength of Su Yan's body. Otherwise, this attack would have destroyed Su Yan's body and severely injured him. The onlookers shuddered in fear. The young Devil King was injured. Everyone knew that ever since Su Yen stepped onto the Emperor Road, he had not suffered any defeat. However, he had encountered the #1 honorable of the immortal tribe and was injured even in his golden immortal state. Ha ha ha, this devil is going to be punished. The Sien people laughed angrily. They stared at Su Yan's injured body through the Emperor ranking board and said coldly, as long as Su Yen is killed, the young kings of the Celestial Court will be killed. The 11 kings are destined to be reduced to bones. So what if this devil is a golden immortal? In the end, he was still suppressed by the #1 paragon of our race. Well done. The entire immortal tribe was in an uproar. The entire tribe was excited. All this while, their tribe had been completely humiliated by Su Yan. Now that the number one honorable of the immortal tribe had injured Su Yan, they were very excited. At the same time, they also felt that their path to becoming an honorable supreme was secure. Su Yan, Baokai let out a shocking roar. Its pupils were dilated. It was really shocked that Su Yan was injured. It knew how strong Su Yan's body was. Then, how strong was the first supreme of the Xian people? Something's wrong. Look. In the next moment, the surrounding people exclaimed. They saw that the first supreme of the Xian people was also injured. Some blood was flowing out of his pores and dyed his battle body red. Everyone was shocked. Could it be that they were evenly matched? Could it be that the golden immortal realm was invincible? Could it be that there was no way to determine life and death? Or could it be that a series of divine powers were needed to determine the strength? Buzz! The first supreme of the Xian people's eyes glinted coldly. He stared at Su Yan coldly and said, "How does it feel?" Su Yan frowned. Wasn't this supreme immortal being a little too confident? He said disdainfully, "I thought I would beat you up, but I didn't expect you to survive. Not bad." Ha! The aura of the immortal tribe's number one supreme being surged violently. His entire body emitted a boundless killing aura that shook the sky. Calm. But what shocked everyone was that the first supreme of the Xian people's aura surged again. It emitted a source of divine power that was even more magnificent than the ocean. It was as if a sea of darkness had been reconstructed. A black tortoise was faintly discernible. It was unimaginably huge. Suffocating fluctuations spread out. The power of the black tortoise was born in the boundless killing intent. What kind of secret technique is this? Everyone was shocked. They felt that something was wrong. The two secret techniques seemed to complement each other. The white tiger stepped on the sky and the black tortoise opened the sea. The divine power was earth-shattering. In an instant, it rushed toward Su Yan. Su Yan's black hair draped over his shoulders. His body emitted an ocean-like law of immortals. Boom! The Kuan Peng's divine power appeared again. Billions of runes appeared, outlining a giant ferocious creature that was as tall as heaven and earth. Su Yan charged over with the Kuan Peng on his back. Along the way, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. He rushed toward the Xian people's first supreme. "You can't do it!" The Xian people's first supreme suddenly let out a loud roar. The sound waves rolled like a true dragon descending from the sky. It contained a terrifying penetrating power. With a rumble, the Kuan Peng trembled and was about to disintegrate. "Su Yan, be careful." The little azure dragon's expression changed. It growled, "This is the Holy Four spiritual technique. Don't be careless." "What?" "This is the legendary Holy Four spiritual technique." The Holy Maiden was shocked. The Holy Four spiritual technique was a secret technique of the ancient celestial court. It was the supreme divine power of the race. Legend had it that this secret technique was created by the four guardian beasts of the ancient celestial court. Once it was used, it could be said that the four Daesong beasts were one. The little azure dragon had mastered one move. However, it didn't expect the Xian people's first supreme to master even more. This was most likely the treasure that the Xian people had taken away from the celestial court branch. It was related to the most powerful inherited holy arts of the celestial court. It's really the legendary Holy Four spiritual technique, and it's even in its complete form. Everyone present was shocked. Legend had it that even the most outstanding genius of the celestial court couldn't master the four Daesong technique. No one had expected the Xian people's first supreme to master it. The vermilion bird burns the sky, the black tortoise spreads the sea, the true dragon soars the sky, and the white tiger descends. The four Daesong techniques had different forms. However, once they were gathered on the body of the Xian people's first supreme, it made him look like an overlord who had created the world. It was terrifying and peerless. Haha, it's really shameful to die under the holy arts of your own family. The king of the Xian people had just sneered when the Baokai rushed up to kill him. Do you want to die? I'm saving face for the golden immortals by not attacking now. If you want to die, I can fulfill your wish. The reincarnated body's face was cold. He found that Xia Fairy and the others were also rushing over. What do these people want to do? The chaotic overlord body and the others also sneered. Among the 10 kings of the celestial court, who else could it be other than Su Yan? Roar! The long Daesong let out a roar that shook the sky. The qi and blood in his body were unbelievably vigorous. He aimed at a Daozu's son and pounced on him. The yin and yang qi gushing out of his mouth and nose seemed to be arranged in a supreme order. The suppressive power was unimaginable. These people, the onlookers, lost their composure. The scene in front of them was really incredible. Forget about the Tai Baokai. Long Daesong's qi and blood were too vigorous. Even the silver bamboo that Bamboo Moon summoned was about to collapse the ancient star sea. Of course, the most amazing one was Xia Fairy. The moment the 5 Daesong swords were unsheathed, the great path was wailing and being cut off. The killing power was terrifying beyond compare. The celestial court actually hid so many kings. It's really incredible. Everyone was shocked. A great battle had broken out here. The 10 kings of the celestial court rushed to the battlefield and attacked Feng Tian and the others. There was also a group of people who sighed and did not want to fight for the top 10. This group of people's cultivation was quite abnormal. Once they participated in such a battle, even if they did not die, they would be half crippled. They might as well find a peerless treasure ground to cultivate in and step into the grand heavenly realm as soon as possible. Although some of the Daozu's sons could break through to the grand heavenly realm, they would not do it so easily. They would definitely choose to do it in the best fortune ground. Otherwise, why would they come to the Emperor Road? They're fighting. What are we going to do? The Grand Saintess stared at Yong Qiuling and said, I think the Emperor Board needs to rank them according to their combat power. Why don't we fight and let the Emperor Board remember us first? Hearing this, Yong Qiuling touched her nose. Her red lips were bright as she said, 2 monsters are fighting. If their battle does not end, the Emperor Board will not be able to reflect it. Let's wait. The Grand Saintess was speechless. Indeed, the Emperor Board could reflect all the bloody battles. However, under the battle of 2 golden immortals, the rest of the battlefield was dark and could not be seen clearly. Only the 2 strongest experts were locked in a fierce battle. They were fighting with their lives in the golden immortal state. Their foundations were too strong. They were releasing their battle blood to the fullest. 4 Spiritual Saint Technique. The Xian people's number 1 supreme being roared. The 4 Daesong beasts lined up in the sky, forming a shocking scene. It was as if 4 invincible supreme beings had come out of the gate. Millions of strands of ferocious aura affected the void energy explosion and suppressed Su Yan. Boom! The Kuan Peng's grand mystique was disintegrated. It could not match the 4 Spiritual Saint Technique. Su Yan encountered an unparalleled killing. There was no place for him to stand on the battlefield. Everything was destroyed. The white tiger's claws, the true dragon's tail, the vermilion bird's flames, the black tortoise's shell, it was as if the world's most invincible killing order had descended together, forming a destructive pattern that wanted to devour Su Yan completely. Ah! Su Yan raised his head and roared. His entire body appeared extremely majestic. Thick radiance gushed out of his pores, forming 10,000 chains of the immortal Tao. All things in the universe appeared within them, exuding an extremely majestic divine might. After 2 years of being reflected by the Emperor Board, Su Yan's understanding of the beginning sutra became more and more profound. This also caused the beginning force that he activated to be incomparably terrifying. It even suppressed the great Tao of slaughter that filled the sky. Moreover, in the process of the beginning universe's convergence, this ancient universe's heaven abyss gushed out a thick sword ray, a soaring Kuan Pung, a bloody calamity, a series of secret techniques erupted. Along with the support of the beginning force, the invisible divine might skyrocketed. Boom! A blinding radiance erupted from the battlefield, penetrating countless miles. The original world began to tremble, transmitting the cries of gods and ghosts. A strike that was enough to destroy the heaven and earth. The two powerful experts pushed their super-strong power to launch a huge collision. The result was also very tragic. The two powerful experts trembled violently at the same time and were sent flying. Boom! The battle blood in Su Yan's body burned. His physical body rose from the ground again, crossing the battlefield and charging toward the Xian people's number one supreme being. His physical strength circulated to the extreme realm, forming a shocking scene from afar. His chi and blood drowned the sea of stars. It was too powerful and inconceivable, shocking everyone. It could simply sweep away all enemies. This was a golden immortal, possessing a dreamlike quality. However, the Xian people's number one supreme being was also peerlessly terrifying, bringing with him endless pressure. The four spiritual saint technique was activated to the peak of the realm. The white tiger attacked, the vermilion bird burned the sky, the black tortoise opened the path, and the true dragon soared through the sky. The battle prowess of the Xian people's number one supreme being caused a huge earthquake. The four Daesong beasts roared along with him, as if an invincible demon lord was attacking a great enemy. Their killing power was ever-changing. Even Fanjian was stunned. His heart was in turmoil. How terrifying was the Xian people's number one supreme being. The four spiritual saint technique set him off to the extreme. Even the powerful Su Yan was facing monstrous pressure, and his physical body was in danger of collapsing. In an instant, Su Yan's body was riddled with scars. It had to be said that this supreme saint technique was at the peak of the realm. In a short period of time, it could sublimate all battle prowess and evolve the most terrifying power of the four sacred beasts. The resonance was about to suppress Su Yan. Kill! Su Yan roared. His scattered hair danced in the wind, and the murderous light in his eyes was soul-stirring. The greater the pressure, the more shocking Su Yan's battle prowess became. In the end, he erupted with the power to bury all bodies. It was as if he was reconstructing his true self in the sea of stars. His aura continued to circulate. What kind of power is that? A terrifying aura blossomed from Su Yan's body. The oppressive aura almost paralyzed some of the spectators on the ground. They found it hard to believe. It was as if they had seen thousands of immortals and demons in the sky. As Su Yan roared, the aura that flowed out was powerful and shocking. Boom! The battlefield exploded. Su Yan charged in front of the Xian people's number one supreme being. His chi and blood were boundless. The power of immortals and demons was released, shaking the universe. Give me your life! This was simply Su Yan's body being completely unsealed. The gods and demons were roaring, and the heavens seemed to be weeping blood. They wanted to bury the entire Golden Age and kill all enemies. Boom! He brandished his fist imprint. The beginning sutra contained the power of 10,000 bodies and evolved the primordial power. It was as if another Su Yan was born, carrying the power of 10,000 bodies. He blasted through the four spiritual saint technique and hammered the number one supreme being of the Xian people away. A large crack appeared on his chest. Chapter 1702. The onlookers were completely shocked. They were already staring with trembling eyes at the first paragon of the Xian people who had been blown away by Su Yan's punch. He was severely injured, and his chest had collapsed. The punch had almost penetrated his body and destroyed the vitality in his body. How terrifying was that power! It was unimaginable, and it shocked all the strong people in the world. What kind of constitution does Su Yan have? Even the holy technique of the four spirits couldn't resist it, and it was penetrated. It's incredible! The old antiques outside were all shocked. That was the holy technique of the four spirits, known as the peerless divine ability of the ancient celestial court. Its attack power was unparalleled, and its fighting style was terrifying. But how did Su Yan break it? The group of Daozu's children gathered in this area all looked gloomy. This enemy had to fight to the death with the first paragon of the Xian people. Otherwise, who could suppress him? Boom! Su Yan's body crossed the sky, and the power of 10,000 physiques was released. This was a scene of gods and demons dancing and blood rushing into the sky. The great divine power that surged out suppressed the whole battlefield, and the strong people from the two camps who were fighting in the distance were terrified. Su Yan rushed over. The images of gods and demons were released, and everything seemed a little blurry. Only his fist print was magnificent. He used the secret technique Universe Fist, which he created himself, and drew on the power of his body to evolve the most powerful force, and attacked the first paragon of the Xian people. Roar! The first paragon of the Xian people roared. His hair danced in the wind, and he was really angry because of Su Yan's punch. Cold light bloomed in his eyes. Tying Mother Sutra, he was roaring. This prehistoric, most powerful, unrivaled heavenly art operated to the extreme domain. At this moment, he didn't look like a true immortal, but rather like a war god who controlled the great Tao of Great Yin. His flesh shell scattered down, vast scripture characters that shook the heavens and earth. This was the Heaven and Earth Mother Sutra, which was unbelievably powerful. The power of Tying circulated, stimulating the flesh shell of the first paragon of the Xian people. This is the Mother's Scripture. The eyes of the group of giant bloodlines turned red. The legendary Mother Scripture should be a complete chapter because they all felt a pressure that overflowed into the heavens. They felt somewhat uncomfortable and suffocated. This was the strongest Mother Scripture. Could it be that the primordial sutra of the ancient celestial court is comparable to the Mother Sutra of heaven and earth? Someone cried out in shock when he saw Su Yan charging over. His figure was overflowing with blood and qi, capable of tearing everything apart. From afar, it looked like a boundless sea of flames had exploded, tearing apart layers of darkness. Moreover, the initial light gushing out from his pores formed a terrifying resistance against the Mother Sutra of the Great Yin. 2 layers of matchless heavenly arts operated. The scene formed was already enough to shock the world, even more serious than the collapse of heaven and earth. Every single wave was a great killing technique. However, amidst the destruction, the 2 powerhouses once again clashed, unleashing the most earth-shattering collision. Gold Immortal. This is a gold immortal. Isn't this a little too strong? The hearts of all the seniors in the outside world that were spectating the battle surged. It was simply not inferior to a bloody battle at the golden immortal realm. The strength of the bodies of these 2 great experts was burning to the limit. They were putting their lives on the line, and both of them carried the essence, energy, and spirit to annihilate their enemies. Boom! The power of immortals and demons filled the sky. Under Su Yan's complete body state, he looked down on everything, and his moves were grand and powerful. Even the powerful golden immortal strength of the Xian people's #1 supreme being was suppressed. He stood in the most powerful domain, brandishing his fist imprints. Punch after punch. He struck out at the supreme being of the Xian people. Every punch was peerlessly tyrannical, as if he was the most powerful expert standing at the peak of the heavens. The fist imprints he brandished were like the bombardment of thousands of gods and demons, thus causing the battlefield to be extremely vast, bringing with it terrifying heavenly might. What a powerful physique, you're really strong enough. The Xian people's #1 supreme being roared. He frequently encountered a terrifying crushing force, and he felt that his golden immortal body was about to collapse. In the end, he roared angrily, and black mist rose from his ancient flesh shell, as if representing the beginning of heaven and earth. Su Yan's expression was somewhat cold. This was his energy matter, his good fortune. At the same time, Su Yan was relieved. The Xian people's #1 supreme being had not completely merged with this black mist, so he could still take it back for himself. However, with this black mist protecting his body, no matter how strong Su Yan's power was, it was still unable to threaten the Xian people's #1 supreme being. This made him feel apprehensive. What a powerful gas! It had already turned into the protective divine light of the Xian people's #1 supreme being. He was practically invulnerable. Kill! From this moment on, the Xian people's #1 supreme being's palms rose. Ancient light floated from his palms, forming the shadow of a battle axe. In an instant, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. Time and space were filled with blood, and a terrifying phenomenon was born on the battlefield. It was as if they had entered the chaotic ancient era, a bloody era where kings bathed the heavens in blood. Heaven-splitting divine palm. It was as if the sound of the end of the world had exploded. This was a peerlessly terrifying scene. The palm imprints crossed the sky, as if cutting off the entire space, tearing apart the true dragon's body, and destroying the light of the immortal path. "Be careful," Fan Jian cried out in alarm. This was a great divine ability of legends that had long been lost. This was the legendary heaven-splitting divine palm. Its attack power was terrifying beyond compare. It was known as the most powerful divine ability of the art of the breaking body. It specialized in restraining the physical body, and could instantly destroy a person's strongest state. Looking from afar, it was as if two blood-colored axes had fallen from the sky and cleaved Su Yan apart. There was also blood sputtering. Su Yan's protective divine light shattered, and cracks appeared on the top of his head. This was a destructive attack, and his physical body was about to be cleaved into two. A great divine ability that could kill even golden immortals. The blood-colored axes cleaved through the sky. The moment Su Yan was about to chop down on his head, he resisted with a palm imprint. His palm was silvery white and blazing, and the immortal slaying sword erupted. Tens of thousands of sword-radiant sword, and was about to shatter the most powerful immortal path. What kind of sword path did the Demon King master? Everyone was shocked. This was the legendary heaven-splitting divine palm, and it was actually broken by the sword technique evolved from Su Yan's palm imprint. How could the immortal slaying sword be an ordinary divine ability? The sword radiance overflowed into the sky, cleaving apart the immortal path and turning into an invincible sword imprint. Boom! The Xian people's #1 supreme being's left hand evolved the heaven-splitting divine palm, and his right hand brandished a fist imprint, revealing boundless world chi. It was as if the eternity of the immortal world had been opened, and a terrifying image appeared behind him. It was as if an ancient immortal world had been born. "Immortal imprint!" he roared. He didn't believe that he couldn't suppress Su Yan's battle physique. He had the black mist protecting his body, and stood innately in the invincible domain. He could definitely crush Su Yan. The battle entered its climax. The two great experts fought head-on, and every punch drew blood. The sky trembled and the universe collapsed. Boom! The two great experts fought to the point of madness. They ignited their greatest battle strength in the extreme sublimation. They were fighting with their lives on the line. The two experts' bodies continuously rumbled, and their chi and blood blended together, forming a raging sea. As a result, the entire battlefield rumbled fiercely. The battle between the golden immortals covered the sky, causing a series of battlefields to become dim and lightless. Boom! At the same time, the scriptures between them were also activated to the extreme. The chanting of scriptures rolled like the sea, as if a great emperor was awakening from his slumber, grasping the universe's reincarnation. Extreme versus primordial. Two great ancient heavenly arts. As they rotated, they bombarded each other. Gradually, the battlefield expanded. The two experts fought fiercely, their fists turning into a bloody mess. Even broken bones sputtered out. What kind of bitter battle was this? They were both golden immortals, but it was extremely difficult for them to break each other's battle physique. It was completely a head-on clash, competing for supremacy on the Emperor rankings. The Xian people's #1 supreme being had to admit that Su Yan was powerful. His golden body was indestructible, difficult to break. Su Yan's heart was naturally heavy. This person was truly terrifying. He had never encountered an enemy like this. The other party gave him a strong sense of oppression. The slightest mistake would cause him to be consigned to eternal damnation. Tell me, how much longer can you live? The Xian people's #1 supreme being's flesh shell was stained with blood. Shocking chanting of scriptures transmitted from his body. He was like a supreme demon god walking in a world of darkness. Behind him, a terrifying vision emerged. That was the darkness that covered the universe, evolving into the extreme Een. "I'll live longer than you," Su Yan replied. He stood indomitable, his black hair dancing in the wind. He shouted, "I heard that you've grasped the Mother-Sun Sutra. I really want to witness it. I'm afraid you'll be beaten to death by me," the Xian people's #1 supreme being said coldly. At the same time, his entire aura changed. An indestructible heavenly sun was born from the darkness. It was simply a combination of yin and yang, causing his aura to become infinitely terrifying. Two peerless scriptures. Since ancient times, who would have such great fortune? He, the Xian people's #1 supreme being, grasped two peerless Mother-Sun Sutras. This was a scene of yin and yang coexisting. It was as if two great golden immortals had merged into one, standing at the peak. Boom! The heavens shook and the earth trembled. The battlefield rumbled. Yin and yang coexisting. As the Mother-Sun Sutra rotated, it formed a yin-yang sea, revealing an invincible heavenly might. These were two peerless Mother-Sun Sutras. As the Xian people's #1 supreme being rotated, it set him off like a supreme god of war who had opened up the great Tao of yin and yang. How is this possible? Some of the powerhouse's bloodlines despaired. Who could resist two great Mother-Sun Sutra? Who could defeat the Xian people's #1 supreme being? Who could? The world admitted that the young devil king was terrifying. However, under the protection of the two peerless Mother-Sun Sutras, he could be said to be invincible under the heavens. He emitted an endless ancient might that suppressed all life in the universe. Roar! Suddenly, a loud roar came from a corner of the battlefield. There were 9 consecutive roars, as if they were echoing in the past, present, and future. Long Daesung changed. The yin-yang Tao diagram covering the top of his head shone, flashing with endless mysterious patterns. It seemed that, under the influence of the two great Mother-Sun Sutras, the yin-yang Tao diagram shone with an incomparably terrifying light. The yin-yang Tao diagram was mysterious and unfathomable. This was the innate Tao diagram of a 10 transformations true dragon, a creature that only existed in legends. Now, its innate ability seemed to be inscribed with the words of the two great Mother-Sun Sutras in the body of the Xian people's #1 supreme being, causing the yin-yang Tao diagram to sublimate and transform. This also caused Long Daesung's source of qi and blood to become much more vigorous. In a short period of time, it faintly emitted the aura of a golden immortal. Behind him, the supreme Tao diagram of 9 true dragons appeared, and there was also the pressure of time. No. Feng Tian, who was fighting Long Daesung, was terrified. Its physical strength was broken, and it was imprisoned by Long Daesung's violent strength. Puff! Then, a golden horn suddenly pierced through Feng Tian's head, crushing his origin spirit and causing it to explode. This was a terrifying event. A generation of Daozu's son was killed at lightning speed. Long Daesong's ultimate sublimation was about to step into the ranks of golden immortals. Chapter 1703. In the immortal heavenly domain, a cold wind blew. The Sien people felt a chill down their spines, and some of them felt their pants were wet. Everyone in the world was silent. The ancient orthodoxies, like the sovereign sect, were all silent. They really didn't know what to say. Had golden immortals become cabbages? One had to know that this was a legendary realm. Even in the celestial court's most prosperous era, there were only a few golden immortals who walked out of this realm. But now, under the emperor ranking, the two golden immortals were fighting fiercely, and they were the only ones who were glorious. But now, a dazzling golden Long Daesong rose from the ground, and a small amount of golden immortal's heavenly aura spread out from him, shaking the world. There was no doubt that he had the potential to become a golden immortal. The third golden immortal came from the celestial court, and it was Long Daesong, who looked down on the world on the emperor ranking. Can anyone tell me where Long Daesong came from? Azure Dragon was confused. What's going on? Su Bingshuang and the others didn't know where Long Daesong came from. He was a 10 transformation true dragon, and if they really competed with each other in terms of potential, Long Daesong had unparalleled potential even among the strongest prodigies in the world. But it was a pity that Daesong's growth was too short. If he was given more time, he would definitely become a golden immortal, and his future progress would be the nightmare of all the prodigies in the world. Little ancestor, everyone in the Heaven's Ceiling sect wailed. The bloodline of their sect's overlord was destroyed by Long Daesong. The entire sect was in an uproar, and everyone was crying. This was the greatest loss to the sect. And this was already the third Daozu's son. How could they not tremble, and how could they not feel despair? Below the golden immortal realm, what was Daozu's bloodline? It was just a foil. Who would have thought that there was a second golden immortal in the celestial court? Long Daesong roared towards the sky. He felt that he was ascending. It was terrifying and unbelievable. However, it was extremely difficult to reach the golden immortal realm in one go. It required a certain amount of time. Hurry up and kill it. It's still accumulating energy. We can't charge forward in one go. Chaotic Overlord Body was a little scared. He shouted at a group of people outside the battlefield, "What are you waiting for? Once the celestial court gets the 3 quotas, what face do we have left?" There was no question that although the two factions were fighting, the proud and arrogant Daozu bloodline had not participated. Therefore, they had no choice but to make a move. In the blink of an eye, 5 of the potentate bloodlines had joined forces to attack the Long Daesong. Daesong, come here. Let's step into the golden immortal realm together. Fairy Zixia was serious. 5 Daesong's swords revolved around her body. She rushed to the Long Daesong's back and shouted coldly, "Kill them all and you can become a golden immortal." Long Daesong also roared. His golden beast eyes stared at the Sien people's first paragon. He knew that only by stepping into the golden immortal realm could he help Su Yen kill the Sien people's first paragon. You guys are really delusional. Can the celestial court give birth to 3 golden immortals? All of you must die. One by one, the young paragons roared, emitting a strong murderous intent. Although they could not participate in the battle of the strongest, could they not kill the second-tier teams of the celestial court? The situation of the battlefield changed drastically. The reincarnation body and the rest joined forces to attack Fairy Zixia. Although Long Daesong's life essence had skyrocketed in a short time, he was still not a golden immortal. But what was Fairy Zixia? Did she also dream of stepping into the golden immortal realm? They've all joined the battle. The entire battlefield changed. It was filled with blood and darkness. The strongest successors of the 7 major immortal sects joined forces and began to besiege Long Daesong and Fairy Zixia. Kill! Yuan and the others roared. The battle blood in their bodies burned. The 8 great kings advanced and retreated together. This battle concerned the future of the celestial court. They could only win, not lose. Without a doubt, other than Su Yan, they were the strongest. Now that they had Long Daesong, a fake golden immortal, they should be able to hold on for a while. Of course, everyone knew that the most crucial battle was the battle between Su Yan and the Xian people's first paragon. This was because they were both too strong and extraordinary. Once the two of them fought to the death, the Emperor Road ultimate battle would be declared over. Two unparalleled Mother Sutras. The Xian people's first paragon is so lucky. As long as he survives, it's hard to imagine how powerful he will be in the future. The entire world was in an uproar. The Great Yin and Great Yang were working together in the body of the Xian people's first paragon. They were even about to merge and evolve into the most invincible Great Tao. Boom! The Yin and Yang of heaven and earth rotated, forming a terrifying force field that pressed down on Su Yan. From this moment on, Su Yan truly felt the threat of death. The power of the two Mother Sutras resonated with the unparalleled power that could easily crush the kings. At the same time, this also stimulated Su Yan to enter his strongest domain. His primordial spirit bloomed, and the Yang Qi surged. His peak primordial spirit shone brightly, as if it was outlining a divine armor that covered Su Yan's body. You've mastered the Mother Sutra of the Sun. The Xian people's first paragon's expression changed. This was beyond his expectations. At this moment, he finally understood how powerful his opponent was. What kind of battle was this? Could it be called the most powerful battle in history? The experts who remained neutral on the battlefield felt their scalps go numb. They hadn't even moved yet, but they could already feel the invincible might that could swallow the universe. If two invincible golden immortals were to fight with their lives on the line, one could imagine how terrifying it would be. Kill! In an instant, they began to move in a trajectory that ordinary people couldn't follow. Soon, it was as if two emperor stars were colliding with each other, blossoming with a terrifying radiance that swept across all directions. Under the illumination of the emperor ranking board, it was even more glorious and brilliant. The two experts fought fiercely, and their auras became even more terrifying. The energy fluctuations that whistled through the air made the kings of the same generation feel terrified. The bloody battle was too fierce. The two experts bombarded each other with the most terrifying power. Heaven and earth trembled, and the sun and moon cried out. They fought until their bodies were covered in cuts and bruises, and blood was drifting through the sky. Heaven's splitting divine palm. The Xian people's first paragon roared. Two giant axe phantoms rose from his palms, enough to destroy heaven and earth. Moreover, under the resonance of the Mother Sutra of heaven and earth, the giant axe became even more terrifying. It split open the heavens, and a huge crack appeared on the boundless earth. Kill! In an instant, Su Yan's terrifying aura reached the heavens. He transformed into the three pure ones, and three invincible golden immortals appeared out of nowhere. Their auras surged, and their incomparably intimidating figures crossed the battlefield. They were majestic and indestructible, like the toughest weapons in the world. The three Su Yan's hair danced wildly. At the same time, they activated the Mystic Nine escape techniques and drew upon the power of the universe. They evolved into a vast domain pattern, and blasted toward the Xian people's first paragon. Qi, the giant axe blazed, containing the power to split open the heavens. It had already shattered the vast domain pattern. However, Su Yan's power was too vast. It evolved into a universe dragon, and with a rumble, the Xian people's first paragon trembled all over, and blood flowed out of his mouth and nose. At the same time, Su Yan was also threatened. Although the heaven-splitting divine palm didn't split him open, there was a shocking killing power attacking his body, causing his qi and blood to churn in his body. Blood spurted out of his pores. Without a doubt, the battle became even more ferocious. The two experts could be said to be evenly matched. It was just a matter of whose foundation was more powerful and outrageous. Only then would he emerge victorious. The Sien people's first paragon had also gone mad from the battle. The four spiritual saint technique, the heaven-splitting divine palm, the immortal seal, and a series of great supernatural powers were unleashed at the same time, bombarding Su Yan. The destructive attack seemed to be about to decide life and death. The Sien people's first paragon unleashed his most ferocious power, fusing it with his great supernatural powers, and began to suppress Su Yan in an overwhelming manner. Roar! The Sien people's first paragon went mad. He roared, "Come and accept your death." His endless foundation burned, and the light of all kinds of supernatural powers bloomed, forming a domain that looked like the end of the universe. Hundreds of millions of people were killed. Accompanied by the power of the Mother Scripture, it flooded the battlefield. Nothing could be seen clearly. The light of destruction was everywhere, and the space-time cracks. Everything collapsed, and the battlefield evaporated, turning into a terrifying black hole. Was this a life-and-death battle going to be decided? A series of great supernatural powers were unleashed at the same time. Even a golden immortal wouldn't be able to maintain such combat strength for a long time. Roar! The Baokai roared. His terrifying combat strength spread and killed the Sien people's king. He was covered in blood. He raised his head and looked at Su Yan's battlefield. His body emitted a ferocious aura. Then, his mind trembled as he caught a grand aura being released. It was as if the gate of reincarnation had been reborn. One figure after another stood in the middle. It was as if the 6 great invincible bodies had been reborn. Their energies resonated with each other and evolved the reincarnation heaven-punishing path. They released Su Yan's most terrifying trump card and forcefully broke through the situation. "Open for me!" Su Yan roared. His disheveled hair danced in the wind. He raised his fist and punched forward, blasting through the light of supernatural powers. It was as if another universe was pressing down on the plane, surging with the power of heaven punishing. Reincarnation heaven punishing path. This was Su Yan's most powerful trump card. It broke through the domain of yin and yang and destroyed the Sien people's paragon's true form. The Sien people's paragon screamed in agony. His body was trembling. The terrifying power of reincarnation weakened his chi and blood, and he fell from the golden immortal realm. His body was covered in cracks, and he was about to be crushed by the power of heaven punishing. Kill! Su Yan rushed over again. He waved his fist and started to attack the Sien people's paragon's body. However, when Su Yan's power was infinitely close to the Sien people's paragon, his pupils suddenly opened. Like a cosmic vortex, they shone with a brilliant light that was enough to devour the souls of all living beings in the universe. Heaven-punishing eyes, no living soul. He let out a beast-like roar. His pitch-black pupils seemed to have separated from their sockets and merged into one, turning into a vertical eye. It was so huge that it seemed to be overflowing with the images of the universe's destruction. It was as if he was controlling the life and death of the heavens. Heaven and earth fell silent. In the dark world there was a suffocating wave. Su Yan's primordial spirit seemed to have been imprisoned. He saw billions of heaven-punishing eyes' power coming at him and penetrating his primordial spirit. He had never experienced such pain before. It was countless times worse than death. Roar! Su Yan's primordial spirit roared. It was as if he was trapped in purgatory and was being judged by death. He really felt that his primordial spirit had been shattered into billions of pieces, and he would never be able to rebuild it. Despite the great fear, Su Yan did not despair. His broken primordial spirit glowed. It was mainly because his soul chi source was too shocking. After fusing with the mysterious white mist, his foundation was quite solid. He resisted the attack of the heaven-punishing eyes. At the same time, Su Yan's body was in intense pain. It was as if it was being torn apart. The people outside were going crazy. Su Yan's arm was torn off. The smell of blood filled the air. Under the heaven-punishing eyes, Su Yan's primordial spirit was under control. This was a supreme killing art. In the instant that Su Yan was distracted, his body was destroyed. At this moment, the Xian people's #1 paragon was about to raise his other hand and crush Su Yan's head. Roar! Su Yan's pupils widened in anger. His dormant flesh shell came to life in an instant. He let out a loud roar, and the murderous light in his eyes filled the sky. The tragic scene was extremely shocking. The Xian people's #1 paragon suffered a thunderous blow. The dormant Su Yan came back to life in a flash. He went berserk. Oh no! The Xian people's #1 paragon's body trembled. Using the heaven-punishing eyes had damaged his primordial spirit too much. He did not expect Su Yan to survive in such a state. Now, his soul light was dim, and his perception was greatly reduced. The Xian people's #1 paragon let out a roar. He wanted to retreat and avoid Su Yan's peerless sharpness. But it was too late. He saw a fist rapidly enlarging. It was like a great star in the universe. It smashed his head in a flash.